Part 8. Traditional Chinese Medicine, Infertility, Crazy Social Death Patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 71. When Bai Ye said this, he couldn't help but sigh. Just now I took Wang Jun's pulse, and with the assistance of the system, I quickly knew the cause of his illness and vices. No doubt. Something went wrong with the liver of this comrade Mayer. And it's self-made. First, excessive drinking. Then I don't understand dialectic, I don't distinguish between hot cough and cold cough, and I eat Chinese medicine indiscriminately, which leads to more disorder of yin and yang qi. But these are not the deadliest ones. The most lethal factor made Bai Ye's heart dumbfounded. The mayor actually took birth control pills, and he took a lot of them. This contraceptive pill was originally intended for women, and Bai Ye never imagined that he would be swallowed by this mayor comrade in the end. This is obviously a mistake in common sense. And why did this comrade mayor take the contraceptive pill? It turned out that after taking Chinese medicine indiscriminately, the fire was excessive, and he liked to drink, and alcohol could help sexual immorality. So even though he is nearly 50 years old, he still has a weekly gift with his wife 3 times a week. And the mayor didn't like to wear condoms, and he didn't want his wife to get pregnant, so he took contraceptives after consulting with his wife. It's really laughable. It was also this contraceptive pill that increased the metabolic burden on the liver of the mayor, because there were a lot of progesterone and estrogen in the contraceptive pill. Over time, the liver function is greatly impaired, the liver is woody, the liver is messy, and the internal organs will attract evil qi invasion. So until now, the symptoms of this comrade mayor can be described as very complicated, and if there is a slight difference, it may go from low yin syndrome to syncope yin syndrome, and if you don't pay attention to it at that time, you will die of yang and die. As an upright Chinese medicine practitioner, it is necessary for Bai Ye to explain clearly, saving people's lives is better than creating a 7th-level floating slaughter. So, he said. Mayor Wang, your situation is a bit special, you have to listen to me later, otherwise it may kill you. The voice fell. There was a brief silence. At this time, many people began to gather around. The mayor came to inspect on the weekend, and the school leaders were going to arrange someone to accompany him, but he just received the notice at this time and rushed to come. Unexpectedly, as soon as the school leadership team came, they saw Mayor Wang's face pale and coughing violently, and then heard Bai Ye say this unbelievable sentence. And as soon as these big shots came, the students in the school also ignited the soul of gossip, and they all gathered to watch the excitement. Among them were the students of the Compound Egg University School of Medicine, who recognized White Knight at a glance. Knowing that Bai Ye was a celebrity, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow whoa! It's the White Knight God, the White Knight God has come to our school. Ha, isn't this the TCM anchor I follow? No wonder the live broadcast is closed, it turns out that it's our school. My God, isn't this the mayor of our demon capital? What happened just now? I witnessed the whole process, the mayor just coughed violently and almost fainted, and it was Bai Ye who happened to be present and defused the crisis. This White Knight is awesome, the mayor was still pale just now, and when he was touched by the White Knight, his complexion instantly became ruddy. Take a picture, I want to record such a wonderful picture." At this time, Wang Jun came to his senses in a trance, and when he saw Bai Ye, he immediately reacted that he was a young talent who was following Li Jiajia. "I wanted to say thank you, but I didn't expect the other party to say such an incoherent thing. He just had a breath that didn't even his breath, and it was just a minor problem. And he goes for a physical examination every 6 months, and the result of the examination is just a bit of fatty liver. Although it has been a little empty recently, it has nothing to do with death at all." And this young man mentioned such unlucky words when he opened his mouth, and he was still so tough in front of the public. It directly made his face unhappy. I'm fine, just a mouthful of phlegm stuck in my throat. It's not good not to be around here, to hinder teachers and students from working and studying. As soon as these words came out, his departmental colleagues and school leaders looked at each other in a bit of a panic. The mayor's face was pale and terrifying just now. It really didn't look like he was fine, and it was best to go to the hospital for examination now. It's just that they all know that the mayor is a model worker who serves the people, but it's not easy to say. This kind of thing is best said by someone close to the mayor. So they looked at the mayor's son, Wang Feng. At this time, Wang Feng's thoughts were the same as his father's, and he even looked at Bai Ye with a hint of imperceptible viciousness. I thought to myself, White Knight, you kid is deliberately grandstanding. First deliberately drew a sword to help, and then said high-sounding words. Didn't you just want to attract attention? It's so shameless. However, his face was still cold and polite, and he looked at Bai Ye and said, Thank you, Dr. Bai. We will take the mayor to the hospital for a full checkup. No, hearing this, Bai Ye immediately said in a straight voice. I haven't finished my sentence yet, and I can't go to the hospital for a checkup. Once the test is done, your father may be critically ill. Routine check-ups are fine, but the mayor is now suffering from oligosyncope and yin, alternating between cold and heat, which is more severe, and liver damage. Therefore, after a routine examination, you will definitely be able to detect a liver problem. Then according to the strategy of Western medicine, it must be to check for liver disease, then it is likely to be a needle biopsy and liver blood imaging. This method was okay for him half a year ago, but now that he does it, his body is too weak to bear it. As a result, there is no serious illness, but a serious illness may occur at the first examination. And this could have been avoided. There is no mention of physical examination and cancer in traditional Chinese medicine, and if you follow Bai Ye's advice, you can recover. But if you don't listen, it's really doomed. So, Bai Ye's tone is very resolute now. But as soon as he said this, even Li Jiajia on the side was dumbfounded. Wang Feng was even more surprised, but he was even more surprised that this kid Bai Ye dared to talk to their father and son in such a tone. The school leaders and government comrades present were all respectful to them. How dare you be a little pingman? At this time, the onlookers were also shocked, and some good deeds took out their mobile phones to broadcast live. At this time, the person concerned, Wang Jun, was also a little annoyed. His body was his own, would he still not know about his health? This outsider was really salty and didn't worry about eating radishes. However, because this young man walked with Li Jiajia, it was not easy to offend. Secondly, he also didn't want to go to the hospital for a troublesome checkup. Thinking about changing the topic, he turned his head to look at Li Jiajia and asked, Jiajia, you and your father are both lovers of traditional Chinese medicine, recommend me a few famous old Chinese medicine doctors. I'll go see a Chinese medicine doctor later. Hearing Mayor Wang's question, Li Jiajia immediately came back to her senses, and suddenly couldn't laugh or cry. Then he spoke politely. Uncle Wang, the most famous old Chinese medicine doctor is right in front of your eyes. Ah, Wang Jun was stunned when he heard this. The government colleagues next to him and the school leaders on the side were also stunned. Next to the mayor is a young man with clear eyebrows. Can you say that this young man is an old Chinese medicine doctor? There are 100 who don't believe it. At this time, the teachers and students who were watching knew a lot about Bai Ye, and they couldn't help but whisper. The god of the White Knight said that Chinese medicine looks at infertility. Will it see other diseases? It's hard to say. Chinese medicine is different from Western medicine, it is dialectical. The same disease is treated, different treatments for different diseases, it is possible. Having said that, Chinese medicine is the same as Western medicine, it needs to accumulate a large number of medical cases and clinical experience, and a single disease will be different from person to person, and it is not easy for Chinese medicine to treat a certain type of disease. Seconded, but why did the white knight god say not to go to the hospital for a checkup? Although Chinese medicine is powerful, it is also necessary to go to the hospital for a comprehensive examination. After all, the misdiagnosis and misdiagnosis of Chinese medicine are also very serious. Indeed, Chinese medicine cannot be exhaustive, and many hidden diseases have to be monitored by Western medicine. Jia, don't be kidding, this young man is so young, he should say that you are a classmate. Wang Jun coughed dryly a few times and said with a smile, the old Chinese medicine doctor I am talking about is the child of that kind of Chinese medicine family. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. Ever since he knew that Li Jiajia's father could enjoy the medical services of the old Chinese medicine doctors of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, and the more he learned about Chinese medicine, the more he felt that Chinese medicine was magical. Compared with Western medicine, he also likes and attaches more importance to Chinese medicine. I thought that even if he was not qualified to see the old Chinese medicine doctors of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, it should be no problem for Li Jiajia to introduce the old Chinese medicine doctors of the Chinese medicine family. Uncle Wang, let me introduce you. Li Jiajia heard him say this, and introduced it seriously. This Bai Ye Bai doctor is a new member of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, and his strength in Chinese medicine is far above that of some children of Chinese medicine families. As soon as this remark came out, Wang Jun was dumbfounded, and the government comrades and school leaders next to him also looked at each other. None of them could have imagined that looking at such a young man would be a member of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. This is incredible, but Li Jiajia has no reason to lie and deceive people. So it suddenly made Wang Jun feel a sense of confusion, and inexplicably felt that Chinese medicine was cheap. Wang Feng's eyes lit up, he paid attention to Bai Ye's live broadcast, and he also knew that someone invited Bai Ye to join that group, but he didn't expect Bai Ye to really enter that group. However, he was not too surprised. Because in his heart, he thinks that Western medicine is the mainstream. What's more, the somewhat authoritative group is not so easy to enter, and there is also an assessment. He didn't believe that Bai Ye could pass the assessment. Other people don't know much about the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, and naturally they don't know the weight of Li Jiajia's words. They only felt that Bai Ye did have 2 hits, and if it wasn't for Bai Ye's help, the mayor would have been embarrassed today, and maybe their school would be unlucky. Therefore, the eyes they looked at Bai Ye were more grateful, and a trace of doubt. At this time, Wang Jun took a deep breath, savored Li Jiajia's words, and looked at Bai Ye seriously. Also restrained his contemptuous attitude, thinking that no matter whether Bai Ye's identity was true or not, it would be good to listen to the doctor's words. He lowered his body and asked, Dr. Bai, you just asked me to listen to your orders, so as not to save my life. I'm going to hear it now. Bai Ye nodded and said bluntly. 0 begging for flowers. First of all, Mayor, don't take Chinese medicine indiscriminately. Stop all Chinese medicine. Ah, Wang Feng was directly stunned when he heard Bai Ye's words, and then muttered. Dr. Bai, do you know what Chinese medicine I have taken? I did buy my own Chinese medicine to eat, because I had a cough recently, so I bought a cough prescription online. I know, but you're taking the wrong recipe. Bai Ye said bluntly, you didn't analyze it dialectically, but bought it yourself based on intuition. As a result, the body could have been cured, but the more I ate, the worse it became, the cold and heat alternated, the qi and organs were disordered, and there was less yin and yin syndrome. So, the first step is to stop taking the drug. As soon as these words came out, Wang Feng's face was a little unbearable. Bai Ye's words are so direct, it is equivalent to saying that he is an idiot. But what Bai Ye said was completely correct, so he couldn't refute it. And Bai Ye didn't think too much. In the eyes of traditional Chinese medicine, there is no difference between dignity and inferiority, not to mention that he just wants to be upright and to the point. Then he continued. Then, the second step is crucial. It's a matter of life and death for you. As he spoke, Baye paused, glanced at the surrounding crowd lightly, and thought about how to phrase it. The time of this pause. The onlookers were also stunned when they heard Baye say this, and they couldn't imagine that there was a more fatal key. They were a little bit broken just now. These people are all high-achieving students, although they do not have a deep understanding of Chinese medicine, but the dialectic of Chinese medicine is still very clear. But I didn't expect that the dignified mayor comrade prescribed Chinese medicine by himself, and he didn't understand dialectic, which was really ridiculous and generous. When the school leaders and government comrades heard Baye say this, they found that Baye was really good, but there were more than two brushes. Just by taking the pulse, you can see that the mayor is taking medicine indiscriminately, and this ability to analyze the symptoms is difficult for those outstanding teachers and students of the Fudan Medical College to achieve. In this way, their trust in Baye's identity has increased. However, this made the mayor's son Wang Feng unhappy. His father was his face, and his father had no face, and he was also disgraced. It's a pity that he can't interject now, so he can only sulk, so his eyes looking at Baye are even more resentful. Is there a second step? At this time, Mayor Wang Jun was a little surprised. I don't have any other bad problems except for taking Chinese medicine indiscriminately. Will Dr. Bai let me quit bars? Just drink less alcohol, it won't have much impact. Hearing the mayor's question, Bai sighed slightly and said implicitly. Mayor Wang, this second is not to do bed exercise from today onwards. Don't do it once, especially lately, 3 times a week, your body will not be able to bear it. Baye's original intention was to ask Comrade Mayor not to take birth control pills, but it was absolutely inappropriate for everyone to say this. Chose a subtle way, thinking that after stopping intercourse, he didn't need to take birth control pills. And as soon as he said this, suddenly there was silence. The lovely and amiable Mayor Wang died directly. He never expected Baye to say this, it was too private. It's just that Baye is right. What a miracle, doctor. But this Nima made him break his defense a little, and now his son is still beside him, and there are teachers and students from Fubai University watching him. Baye, you say that, where can I put my old face? Young man, can you think about the next occasion when you speak? Ahem. Of course, Wang Jun has also been in officialdom for a long time, and he has seen all kinds of scenes. So it quickly calmed down. Then, he grasped a key point. That is, these words were all speculated by Baye, and Baye couldn't produce evidence, so the onlookers would not be more truthful. And as long as he denies it himself, even onlookers will feel that Baye is arbitrary and not objective. He is the mayor of the magic capital, after all, he represents the face of the whole city, waited, and immediately spoke. Dr. Bai, after all, I'm old, I don't understand your words of a tiger and wolf. It's a trick that you young people love to play, right? I understand, but note that this is a campus, a place to speak civility. Some of the wording still needs to be careful. Hear this. Baye was stunned. Good fellow. I'm here to save your life, and you still don't appreciate it, so you're beating up. It seems that the seriousness of the problem must be made clear in a serious way. After a moment's pause, Baye glanced around and said slowly. Mayor Wang, I'm sorry, it was true that my words were not rigorous just now. Whether it implements the courtesy of Zhougong or not is not the most critical, just moderation. The most important thing is, yes. As he spoke, Baye couldn't help but pause, and the words taking birth control pills stopped on his lips, and he was embarrassed to say it. It's so funny, I want to laugh just thinking about it. And the mayor Wang Jun on the side heard Baye say this, and his heart was relieved. That's right, don't hold this accountable. The tree wants the bark and the man wants the face, and there are some things that everyone knows in their hearts. I'm not thinking about it now. Don't pursue this detail. However, what he didn't expect, Bai Ye's next sentence directly made him confused. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 72. Bai Ye hesitated, looked at Wang Jun, and said seriously. Mayor Wang, the gift of Zhougong is not the key. The most important thing is that you can't take birth control pills anymore. Birth control pills contain estrogen and progesterone, which put a lot of pressure on your liver. It's been seriously affecting your liver function. The liver is not good, and it has seriously affected your internal organs. Honestly, it's serious, and the source is that you've taken too many birth control pills. The voice fell. The noisy campus suddenly fell silent. The bustling crowd seemed to have been pressed the pause button. Everyone is not deaf, so they naturally understand the meaning of the white knight talk. The key message is that the mayor takes birth control pills, but the mayor is a man, which is too uncognizable. At the same time, everyone was also stunned. Why could Bai Ye see that the mayor had taken birth control pills? At this time, you, Mayor Wang Jun only felt his head buzzing after hearing Bai Ye's words. He never expected that such a private matter would be known by Bai Ye. I almost opened my mouth and subconsciously asked, "How do you know?" But fortunately, he immediately restrained his emotions and swallowed the words into his stomach. Otherwise, it will be a big mess. Wouldn't that be tantamount to admitting that you do the weekly rites 3 times a week? That's a shame. He is the mayor of the demon city, and admitting this kind of thing is easy for people to misunderstand that the mayor does not do his job every day. Then, he didn't realize that it was completely useless to take birth control pills as a man. At this time, after the people around him heard Bai Ye's words, after being shocked, their biggest reaction was, how could he say such a ridiculous thing? Even if it's a miracle doctor, it's impossible to see that you are taking birth control pills by looking, smelling, and seeing, right? And to say it in front of the mayor. It's so weird. Subconsciously, I felt that Bai Ye was unreliable, and Ming's 787 was still a little credible just now, but now it is gone. However, in the next moment, the school leaders and government colleagues suddenly found that Mayor Wang Jun's expression was not quite right. That expression was like embarrassment after being exposed. Human extremes are hard to restrain from their emotions. When these bigwigs saw the mayor's reaction, their hearts suddenly chuckled. No, could it really be that Bai Ye was talking to the point? That's outrageous, isn't it? They don't believe it. They would rather believe the mayor's singing every night, and they don't believe that the mayor will take birth control pills. But if the white knight is nonsense, why doesn't Comrade Mayor immediately refute it? Because of the identity gap, they don't want to ask, and they don't dare to ask. At this time, the onlookers were shocked and whispered again. Damn, isn't it? How did the god of the white knight tell that the mayor was taking birth control pills? I am a specialist in traditional Chinese medicine, and I can only distinguish the pulse and reason about the situation of the viscera and meridians, and I can't infer anything else. The great divine doctor of the white knight is superb, maybe you can see the clue through other details. Impossible, no matter how superb your medical skills are, you can't see what people have done. That's right. Even if you infer daily behavior, you should infer something that is acceptable to the public, and taking birth control pills is outrageous. It's really outrageous. The mayor's condition is that the liver is not good. There may be too many factors, but the white knight god said that it was a contraceptive pill. How can this be accepted? I really can't accept it, but the mayor's reaction is like being a thief. Yes, do you mean that the mayor really knows how to take birth control pills? Poof. It's funny to think about. Yes, it's too explosive. Look at how the great god of the White Knight ends. When he says this, he simply offends the big leader. At this time, Wang Feng, the mayor's son, stared at Bai Ye directly, and his anger surged up directly. To insult his father like this is like insulting him. But because of his identity, he tried his best to restrain his emotions from being exposed. And psychology is already brewing how to make Bai Ye ruined. When Li Jiajia heard Bai Ye's words, she was also dumbfounded, and even almost toes on the ground in embarrassment. So I couldn't help but pull the corner of his clothes. Whispered. The boss, you're not going to be wrong. How can the mayor eat condoms? As long as that thing is a normal person, everyone knows that it is for women. This would have been a very normal question. The point is to ask how White Knight deduces. But Bai Ye answered a clever rhetorical question. After all, the analysis of the system is not easy to reveal, and he said this to save people. Yes, birth control pills are only useful if women take them. It's useless for men to eat it, although it can inhibit the spermatogenic process, but the tadpoles that have been generated can't do it, so the effect is very delayed. On the contrary, it has more side effects on the body than for women. Especially after the accumulation of excessive estrogen, it can cause dizziness, nausea, and fatigue, or liver damage or azoospermia. As soon as these words came out, Li Jiajia frowned, and was about to point out the problem of White Knight evasion. But seeing that Mayor Wang Jun's face was very strange, he didn't know if his complexion was not good, or if he was told something by Bai Ye. What she didn't know was. At this moment, Wang Jun's heart was shocked. From their conversation just now, he immediately realized that he seemed to have made a big mistake. That is, it turns out that the birth control pill is for women. And he stupidly chose to eat it himself. So why did he eat it himself? It's not that he read the small advertisement that says that men can eat it, but he didn't carefully screen the credibility of the small advertisement. Now I look at it, it's obvious that I've entered a cognitive misunderstanding. The boss, it's not this problem. Li Jiajia smiled dryly, looked at Bai Ye and said in a low voice. How can you open your eyes and tell nonsense? Can you tell if you have taken birth control pills? Isn't it a fantasy? Her voice was very soft, but Mayor Wang Jun still heard it, and he also stared at Bai Ye with wide eyes, looking forward to his explanation. However, Bai Ye hadn't spoken yet. Suddenly a clapping voice rang out from the crowd. Wang Jun looked fixedly, but saw a woman with the temperament of a school teacher walking over. The woman gave him a very familiar feeling, but he forgot where he had seen it. Dr. Bai is really a miracle, Dr. Boy. Admire and admire. The woman came to Bai Ye and praised directly, but she didn't seem to take the others seriously. I am a PhD supervisor in the Department of Chemical Engineering at Fudan University, and I also teach psychology and Chinese medicine. My name is Zhong Xiaoi. As soon as these words came out, Mayor Wang Jun's eyes widened suddenly, and he immediately remembered her identity. This Zhong Po's own identity is ordinary, but her family background is strong, and she is a ministerial-level boss in the imperial capital Forbidden City. Li Jiajia was also surprised. Of course she knew Mr. Zhong's background, but she was even more shocked by what Mr. Zhong said. Wait, psychology. Mr. Fei Zhong saw the mayor's mental activities through the mayor's micro-expressions. If you look at it this way, the boss's inference is actually correct. It? Li Jiajia shouted in her heart. At this time, the onlookers and school leaders also saw the clues, and they all looked at Bai Ye and Zhong Xiaoi. But I heard Bai Ye say suspiciously. Teacher Zhong. It's like we're meeting for the first time. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. Yes, but I've been keeping an eye on you for the past 2 days. Zhong Xiaoi smiled and said without hesitation. I forgot to mention that Lin Wanfan is my senior sister, and she was originally the idol of Chinese medicine around me. Later, she recommended to me to follow your live broadcast room. Now you're my new idol. Idols don't dare to be idols, I'm just doing my job. Hearing this, Baya just nodded lightly. And at this time, the surrounding classmates were shocked. Do you know Mr. Zhong's family background? The kind of traditional Chinese medicine that the family can contact is inherited by the family, so teacher Zhong Xiaoi means that the medical skills of the great god of the White Knight are superb, those Chinese medicine families and even the imperial doctor family. And don't forget, teacher Zhong Xiaoi is sure of what Bai Ye said. And teacher Zhong Xiaoi is also a Chinese medicine boss. Could it be that our mayor really took birth control pills and damaged his body? Wow, this is too explosive. The mayor of the dignified demon city actually took contraceptive pills for contraception. Poof, ha ha ha. No, how could the mayor be stupid enough to take the pill himself? Wait. It's funny, I'm studying Chinese medicine, why can't I see it? It may be true. Teacher Zhong Xiaoi is still a master of psychology, don't forget. The mayor's expression has betrayed the truth. Li Jiajia felt really a little confused. I couldn't help but ask. Teacher Zhong, do you also believe what Dr. Bai said? Do you also think that Mayor Wang took birth control pills and caused his body to be weak? Hearing Li Jiajia ask, Zhong Xiaoi looked at Bai Ye. Dr. Bai, many people are still confused, you should have explained. However, I would like you to point me in if I can give my opinion. And then you'll see if there's anything missing. Hearing this, Bai Ye was a little crying and laughing, he was not easy to explain, and he couldn't imagine that there was someone to explain for him. Now that the atmosphere has reached this point, it's not easy to refuse people, so he nodded. Zhong Xiaoi nodded when he saw Bai Ye, just like a student who was praised by a teacher, and then looked at Mayor Wang Jun. Mayor Wang, we are all for your good, the doctor is benevolent, and I don't want you to continue to make mistakes. So it's important to make it clear to you the consequences of taking too many birth control pills. First of all, we have done experiments in the clinic, male contraceptives take too much, easy to have greasy skin, you look at your face, it is indeed too oily, obviously very weak, but it is like a mirror. Secondly, the estrogen intake in the contraceptive pill is too much, and it is easy to gain weight, and it is not evenly fat, mainly fat buttocks and upper body, so your body type, alas, I don't need to say more. Then the pulse of Chinese medicine can see that you are hyperactive, and hyperactivity is strong libido, of course, it is weak. But you are now deficient in Jin liquid, or you are still suffering from a lack of yin and yin, this serious symptom must be caused by the rapid cutting of yang qi, and the most yang qi is indulgence. 0. It's easy to deduce that it's too much. The combination of these three must be the reason why Dr. Bai deduced that you took birth control pills. Said. Zhong Xiaoi looked at Bai Ye again, and the admiration on his face was unobstructed. You are really amazing, Dr. Bai, the doctor is benevolent, and he will tell the truth even if he offends the mayor. To be honest, if I wasn't a senior psychology teacher, I could only vaguely feel that Mayor Wang was taking too much estrogen-containing food, and I couldn't be sure that it was taking birth control pills. But after observing Mayor Wang's micro-expression, I concluded that you are completely right, Dr. Bai. By the way, Dr. Bai, am I right? Saying that, Zhong Xiaoi was still looking forward to Bai Ye's answer, like a little fan. Her voice fell. The audience fell silent. Everyone was digesting her words, including Mayor Wang himself. Of course, at this time, he was completely dead, and he couldn't wait to find a hole to get into. However, at the same time, there is a trace of gratitude. If it weren't for Bai Ye pointing out his problem, he would have been kept in the dark, and he really didn't know how he would have died by then. It's scary to think about. Alas, if the society dies, the society will die, anyway, these people know, and not the whole network knows about it. What he didn't know, however, was that there were already students who had quietly recorded it. At this time, after listening to Zhong Xiaoi's analysis, Bai Ye suddenly laughed in his heart. Teacher Zhong came just in time, and he didn't know how to explain it. Unexpectedly, people who teach psychology can extrapolate backwards from the results, which is equivalent to completely completing his inference, making him invisibly pretend. It's a really cool feeling. Bai Ye looked at Zhong Xiaoi and nodded slightly, which was counted as an answer. Oh my god, Li Jiajia reacted and looked at Bai Ye with wide eyes. Boss, you're too awesome, you're not a doctor, you're also an expert in criminal investigation. This observational power is discerning. The voice fell. The people around nodded their heads, and their hearts were already filled with shock. They still think that the White Knight is nonsense, but who knows that people can see too many details at a glance. It's just a human scanner. Poor mayor, you really deserve it, haha. I actually wanted to lie in front of the god of the White Knight, haha, I died laughing. Everyone couldn't help but want to laugh at this moment, and they all felt that they also had a sense of superiority in front of the dignified mayor. However, at this time, the mayor's son Wang Feng's face turned the color of pig liver. It is shameful that the private affairs of father and son have been exposed, but the guy who exposed this matter is even more hateful. He hated the White Knight, his teeth gurgling, and his face still had to show grace. But my heart was crying out. Bai Ye, you stinky boy, what is there to be angry about Chinese medicine? Isn't it just that you are lucky to be appreciated by teacher Zhong? After all, you are still a civilian, and you are a civilian, which makes the master very unhappy. I'll play you to death, sir. At this time, a beautiful black girl couldn't help but wonder when she saw that there were many classmates watching in front of her. 5.4 seems to see a familiar figure. Ayo, it's really him, I didn't expect Dr. Bai to come to school. With that, she walked briskly forward. Princess Yuri. A big man said respectfully, there are many people in front, you are a princess, it is best not to go over. This beautiful black girl's name is Yuri, and she wants to go to Bai Ye and say thank you to him personally. It was the White Knight that made her feel safe again. A few days ago, her panties were stolen, and I thought that a killer had infiltrated Fudan University to kill her as an exchange student. Fortunately, it was Bai Ye who took over the case to help Zio solve the case, and found that it was just an ordinary theft. But even so, Suri knew that if it weren't for the White Knights, she would have insomnia and even depression. Therefore, the place of the White Knight in her heart is very important. I wanted to come to thank you in person for a long time, but I didn't have contact information. I just searched the live broadcast room of White Knight, and I found that White Knight closed the live broadcast, but I didn't expect to meet it at school. Hans, there is a saying in the Dragon Kingdom that the grace of a drop of water should be reciprocated by a spring. Suri looked at his bodyguard, who had been transferred after the recent theft of her underwear. Named Hans, the Hans family is also a wealthy merchant in her country, and of course no matter how rich they are not as rich as the royal family. I don't have anything in return now, so I should say thank you to Dr. Bai in person. Then I'll go over and talk about it. Hans said, how about giving him another Rolls-Royce with a limited edition of the world? Only one car, said Suri was a little angry. Then how about we send another villa in the magic capital, the people of the Dragon Kingdom like to buy a house. Hans proposed. A villa worth 20 million, 2 Rolls-Royce Phantoms. Suri said. Okay, Hans nodded, and said, to be honest, Dr. Bai is too lucky, and many people in the Dragon Kingdom can't earn these things in their lifetime. I like it, said Suri, remembering the peace of mind he felt every time he secretly watched the live broadcast of the White Knight, and couldn't help blushing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 73. At this time. White Nights here. After Zhong Xiaoi got Bai Ye's approval, she was very happy, but she was still not satisfied. I couldn't help but speak. Dr. Bai, you can't just nod your head and evaluate my analysis. The voice fell. The audience couldn't help but fall silent. Just now, everyone was still complaining about Mayor Wang's ignorance in their hearts, and at the same time, they were angry in front of the department-level bosses. And after hearing Mr. Zhong's words, everyone's attention is once again focused on Bai Ye. I was looking forward to what kind of evaluation Bai Ye would have on Mr. Zhong's analysis of Mr. Zhong, who had a strong family background. At this time, no one seems to care about the mayor's feelings anymore. Only Mayor Wang Jun himself, that feeling is really like sitting on pins and needles. It's not to run, it's not to stand. The whole fragile heart felt like it had been roasted. Nima. Can you not torture a department-level coder like this? I'm also the mayor of the dignified Magic City, Mr. Zhong, you can understand a little bit of human feelings. Your analysis has already made me lose face among the students. Is this trying to make me completely ruined at Fudan University? Also let the White Knight evaluate. What a fart. Don't forget that I am an injured person, and now I am a vulnerable group, and I need to be comforted the most. Wang Jun was speechless for a moment, and asked Kang Tian speechlessly in his heart, what kind of sin did he create? Of course, he had to complain in his heart. Don't dare to express your dissatisfaction in front of Zhong Xiaoi. After all, the background of the Zhong family in the imperial capital is too terrible, and you must weigh it clearly before speaking. The direct colleagues next to him also had the same mentality, both sorry for the mayor and speechless for the willfulness of this teacher Zhong. Those school leaders were also helpless. They knew that Mr. Zhong didn't like officialdom in the first place, and he had no choice but to help the mayor out of the siege, so they simply treated the mayor as a martyr. Of course, these school leaders were obliged to disperse the onlookers, but isn't there another student representative, Li Jiajia? Li Jiajia's father is also a high-ranking official, so he can't afford to offend. Besides, it's too late to disperse at this time. What's more, those students are standing far away and understand the sense of proportion. And those students are too good at acting, and those respectful expressions are like welcoming leaders to come and guide. Alas, Comrade Mayor, you can only blame yourself for not being angry. How can you be stupid enough to take birth control pills? I miss that thing so much, I can still have a ligation. If it is ligated, no matter how superb the White Knight medicine is, it will be impossible to see the 30 veins. In the end, under all kinds of helplessness, these school leaders could only look at Bai Ye, hoping that Bai Ye would not say anything too shocking. At this time, Bai Ye looked at Zhong Xiaoi's expectant eyes, and then glanced at the people around him, and suddenly couldn't cry or laugh. He simply thought about helping each other with his hands, but he didn't expect it to develop like this. But now that everyone around him is looking at him, it's definitely not good if he doesn't say something. But what to say? Bai Ye glanced at the lovely and amiable comrade Mayor Wang, and suddenly understood. He said lightly. Mr. Zhong analyzed it very well, but he just forgot the most critical point. Oh, please advise Dr. Bai. Hearing this, Zhong Xiaoi's eyes lit up, and he suddenly looked like a primary school student who was active in class. This change in expression suddenly narrowed the attention of the onlookers again. They all stared at Bai Ye's mouth, and at the same time pricked up their ears, not wanting to miss any of the words that Bai Ye was about to say. Because, what Bai Ye is going to say next may be the highest essence of the hope hearing diagnosis. Mr. Zhong. After Bai spoke, he looked at Mayor Wang again, who seemed to be deciding and seeming to pray. In fact, all my reasoning is based on Mayor Wang's noble qualities. First, I know that Mayor Wang is a very responsible and good mayor, and he will never sow seeds arbitrarily, so he will use contraception. Second, I also know that Mayor Wang is a good mayor who is very considerate of the people, especially women, so even if he uses contraception, he will choose to bear it. Third, I know that Mayor Wang is a good mayor who pursues efficiency in doing things, so he will definitely persevere and use a large number of his quick contraceptive methods. Fourth, I also know that Mayor Wang is a good mayor who knows how to save money and doesn't like to disturb the people, so I guess the mayor will definitely choose a cheap way instead of a sterilization. It's a pity that sometimes a little cognitive error, or being deceived by unscrupulous merchants, leads to such helpless consequences. As soon as this remark came out, the air suddenly became extremely quiet. Everyone chewed on the meaning of the White Knight talk repeatedly. I always feel that there is something wrong, but I can't find a problem. Because these are really an indispensable part of the logical closed loop, without any of them, it is difficult to establish. And the reason why Mr. Joan was able to analyze it in place, so it sounded, it was really based on the assumptions made by Bayet. Look at it this way. You look at this from the third floor, and you think that people are on the fifth floor, but in fact they are on the 10th floor. Is this the thinking system of the White Knight God? This comprehensive analysis and view of the problem from an angle is really tricky. You think Tet is outrageous, but it's the truth. It's really an admirable five-body throw. But why do you always want to laugh? Poof, ha ha ha. Is the great God of the White Knight sure that he is appreciating the mayor? Ha ha ha. No, I can't help but want to laugh. Dr. Bai is obviously serious. Why do I think he did it on purpose? This wave of irony is really unexpected. I'm Nima. The old Chinese medicine doctor's words are too sharp. It's too neat. This makes our mayor put his face down. Poof, ha 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 ha. But the White Knight God is not wrong. This is very logical. The onlookers almost rolled back and forth in laughter when they heard Bayet's comment. It sounds like a compliment to the virtues of Comrade Mayor, but if you look closely, it's no different from saying that Comrade Mayor is a big fool. But I can't fault it. Because these are the links in the logic. If Comrade Mayor were that kind of thick black, it would really not be that reasoning. I can only say that Comrade Mayor is so cute and amiable. Poof ha. After reacting, Zhong Xiaoi also broke the defense. I see, haha. It is worthy of Dr. Bai, the perspective of looking at the problem is comprehensive. Those comrades directly under the mayor and school leaders were also stunned when they heard Bayet's words. This young man in the White Knight, you are a murderous whip corpse. How can such unpretentious words be used to satirize our comrade mayor? Although it is very logical and reasonable, there is no need to say that it is so organized. It's simply, let's sit on pins and needles too. At this time, Mayor Wang Jun looked at Bayet blankly, looking at Bayet's clear eyes like water, as if he saw the four big words doctor's benevolence. But his heart fell to the bottom. Regret it, I miscalculated your medical skills, I really shouldn't have talked back just now. If you nod your head, won't it be over? Alas! Speechless to ask the sky. How do you let me face my son and colleagues next, and how will I do the next inspection work? I can't say any more, let's stop this topic. Wang Jun thought of this and said cheekily. Ahem. Ahem, no one is perfect. Ahem, what Dr. Bai said is right, the so-called studious is almost knowing, so I have been listening humbly. Now I am ashamed and brave, set an example for the majority of teachers and students, and if I make mistakes, I will correct them, then I am still a good comrade. Ahem. If you don't have anything else to explain, then let's disperse, everyone should be very busy, don't cause excessive congestion and it's not good for everyone. The voice fell. Comrade Mayer's weak, pitiful, and helpless appearance was completely recorded by his melon-eating classmates. Yes, 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 at this time, his subordinate colleagues finally found an opportunity to sneak around and hurriedly agreed. Headmaster, Dean of Students, let's see if you want to evacuate the students. It's not good to occupy the sidewalk like this. When the school leaders heard this, they nodded their heads and were about to notify the security guards to evacuate the crowd. At this time, Baya immediately spoke. Wait a minute. Mayor Wang, there is one more important thing. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. Please remember. Otherwise, the consequences will be serious. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned again. There are still ones. When Mayor Wang Jun heard Baye's words, he felt that his whole body was about to crack. Could he finish his words at once? Was it fun to do this, Ling Chi? However, the words are very polite. Dr. Bai, please speak. I'm going to have to go to the hospital for a full checkup later. The meaning of his words is obvious, that is, don't waste any more time, young man. Time is precious, if you delay the inspection, you will also be responsible. Although he doesn't like the examination of Western medicine, after all, he has been checked for more than 20 years, and now listening to them, it seems that taking contraceptive pills does have a great impact. Then you will definitely have to go for an in-depth examination to feel at ease. He believes that these in-depth examinations cannot be detected by traditional Chinese medicine. There should be nothing to say about this white knight. But who knows? Mayor Wang, have you forgotten what I just said? Seeing that he was so forgetful, Baye suddenly became serious and spoke. Listen to me, don't go for any Western medical examinations these days. When the medicinal materials arrive here, I will prescribe medicine to you and then do acupuncture, and your illness will be cured. And if you go for a checkup, the consequences are going to be severe. Please remember this. As soon as these words came out, the audience was silent again. Mayor Wang Jun remembered that Baye did say this just now, but he didn't understand it very much. Now in front of the public, I mentioned it again, but I still don't understand. Very incomprehensible. Could it be that the physical examination will be harmed by the hospital? At this time, Zhong Xiaoi, Li Jiajia, and those medical students didn't understand either, but they still believed in Baye. And those mayor's direct colleagues and school leaders felt that Baye was a little brainless. I'm still too young. There are also old Chinese medicine and Western medicine experts in tertiary hospitals. Checking the body is to prevent the slightest deterioration. If there is any hidden disease in the body, it is also a good thing to check it out as soon as possible. For example, many cancers are like this. Early detection, maybe a simple operation can be solved. If it is delayed, it is the Lord of Yama who wants to invite tea. How can you not understand such a simple truth? I'm still too young to prove myself. At this time, the mayor's son, Wang Feng, was worried about not knowing where to go from the black and white knight, and just heard Baye say such an out-of-tune word, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Good guy, I really think I am the holy son of Chinese medicine. Do you still need to intervene in the physical examination of a regular hospital? This is blindly and brazenly trying to fight against Western medicine. That's where you can take advantage of that. However, he still wanted to fan the flames again, so he turned on his mobile phone to record the video. Came to the White Knight and said bluntly, Dr. Bai, are you too arbitrary? Isn't it a matter of course for you to go to a regular hospital for a checkup if you are sick? What you just said is too subversive of our perception of Chinese medicine. Even the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall did not dare to ignore the examination of Western medicine, because they were well aware of the shortcomings of Chinese medicine. I don't believe that Dr. Bai will not know this. I want to know, how much responsibility is Dr. Bai willing to pay for what he just said? As soon as this remark came out, the onlookers were also whispering. Traditional Chinese medicine does have many shortcomings, and it can be dialectically analyzed and treated, but to understand the cause specifically, it is really reliable Western medicine. No, it's better to combine Chinese and Western medicine. But Bai Ye is completely against the mayor going for a physical examination, which is incredible. And haven't you noticed, the great god of the White Knight is too serious, and he seems to be talking about things that are certain, but the illness is originally dynamic. Will it be too domineering? It's really a bit overbearing. I still want the mayor to go to the White Knight god to take medicine and do acupuncture. Shouldn't it be for fame and fortune? You guys got the point wrong. What the great god of the White Knight meant just now was that if you do an examination, your condition will worsen, and we should question this, but it was skillfully bypassed by Wang Feng. Yes, Wang Feng is deliberately provoking contradictions. At this time, Bai Ye paused when he heard Wang Feng's words. He just kindly reminded him, but he didn't want to lead a war, so he could have laughed at 997. But with the personality of being an upright Chinese medicine practitioner, he still explained. There is a saying in Chinese medicine that deficiency is not replenished, and in the same way, too, deficiency cannot withstand examination. That will make the body suffer more, and it will be easy to completely expose the hidden disease. Do you understand? Yes, what does Dr. Bai mean? Wang Feng said when he heard this. I saw that my father was critically ill, but he objected to my father's examination. Is this going to make my father's work life confused? It's good to be confused. Hearing this, Bai Ye said frankly. In addition, I am not against Western medical examinations, but against the mayor's case of doing medical examinations. That would make the body worse. I don't want to say that a fourth time. If you really think about your father, remember my words. Said. Bai Ye didn't want to explain anything, so he pulled Li Jiajia and turned around to leave. And his domineering appearance suddenly made everyone's eyes widen. Regardless of whether there is any controversy about what Bai Ye said, but it's really handsome. Many girls at the scene are about to fall. Wang Feng looked at Bai Ye's back with scarlet eyes, and the anger on his face surged directly. What are you pretending to be? What if you know a little bit about Chinese medicine? You are just a civilian. We'll see. He muttered quietly, and instead of looking at the White Knight, he walked up to his father. Dad, no matter what, you can listen to the words of the Chinese medicine doctor, but you are the mayor, and your body is not only your own, but also the general public. It is common sense that Chinese medicine is slow to work, and it is inevitable that there will be misdiagnosis, so I still recommend that you go to a big hospital for a comprehensive examination. Wang Jun nodded, non-committal. Of course he had his own opinions. But in the end, he still said that he wanted to thank Bai Ye. I can't imagine that Bai Ye is a man in the rivers and lakes, but he is so capable, it is really not simple. This way. Dr. Bai, please stay. Bai Ye hadn't taken 2 steps before a broken Longuo dialect suddenly sounded behind him. Bai Ye and Li Jiajia couldn't help but look back. But they saw a beautiful black girl with dark skin walking towards them. Next to the black girl, there is also a tall and handsome black man in a suit, who is both a companion and a bodyguard. And the appearance of this black girl, her noble temperament, suddenly made Zhong Xiaoi feel ashamed of herself. And Zhong Xiaoi and the other onlookers originally planned to evacuate, but when they saw this foreign girl with an extraordinary temperament looking for Bai Ye, they couldn't help but whisper. Oh my God! Such a beautiful black girl, like a black pearl. Her figure is so good, her skin is shiny, and she is full of wild charm. Isn't this the princess of the Wakanda country in Africa, who came to study at Fudan University as an exchange student? Is Wakanda the African country rich in diamonds? Oh my God! I heard that it was founded only the year before last, and it was feudal, but its wealth surpassed that of Egypt. And I've heard that their technology is very good. So, how could this princess know Dr. White? Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 74. Baya heard someone calling him from behind. Look back. I can't help but light up. I didn't expect the other party to be a beautiful black girl, a bit of the temperament of a Hollywood star. Dressed well, with bright eyes and bright teeth, and naturally dark skin. At first glance, the identity is good. But I didn't know her. Hello, do we know each other? Bai's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Dr. Bai, I've been paying attention to your live broadcast room for the past 2 days. Princess Yuri of Wakanda came to Baya and Li Jiajia and said politely. I'm a fan of yours, my name is Yuri. And thank you for doing me a great favor. Yuri's words were very direct, and the eyes that looked at Baya were also sincere. Hans on the side was a little wary. His tall figure stood abruptly with the lorry-shaped Yuri. Added. Dr. White, Yuri is the Princess of Wakanda. I just came to Fudan University as an exchange student this year. I am the companion of Her Royal Highness the Princess. The voice fell. But it made Baya even more confused. And at this time, the crowd of onlookers was shocked when they heard Princess Wakanda's words. The princess of a country is actually thanking a commoner in our dragon country. And it's a Chinese medicine practitioner who just watched infertility live. What an unexpected and intriguingly. Many fans of Baya in these masses have never seen this black girl go to Bai's Chinese medicine hall. Mayor Wang Jun and his son Wang Feng were also surprised when they saw this. After the school leader explained the identity of the black girl to the mayor, Wang Feng's whole body was sour. No matter what the reason for the princess to thank Baya, the fact that a commoner like Baya could receive the courtesy of a princess of a country had already separated his jealous qualitative wall. Li Jiajia reacted quickly, and then whispered in the white night. Boss, do you remember Gao Qiang? Gao Qiang stole a girl's underwear, and just happened to steal from a princess of an African country. And you happened to expose Gao Qiang's behavior, and indirectly provided evidence for the Ministry of Public Security's task force to bring Gao Qiang to justice. This is the heart of the princess. Hearing Li Jiajia's explanation, Baya suddenly became stunned. Suddenly, I couldn't cry or laugh. Unintentionally planted willows, and inadvertently helped the princess of a small African country. I also happened to meet people on campus. So what should I say? With the expansion of his knowledge of Chinese medicine and the increase in the number of patients he treated, he gradually identified with the identity he had crossed. At the same time, an idea was germinated in the mind, that is, to correct the name of Chinese medicine and promote Chinese medicine all over the world. And this process is indispensable for the promotion of fame and fortune. Now, he is poor and white, but he can win the appreciation of foreign friends, which is already very gratifying. Come to think of this. Baya smiled and spoke. You're welcome, I just did my part. Haha, it should be said that Princess Yuri Jiren is heavenly. Li Jiajia interjected. Yuri smiled, showing her white teeth. Dr. Bai, that incident really helped me a lot. I really appreciate you. For this, as a princess of Wakanda, I have some small thanks for you. Please don't refuse. As soon as these words came out, the crowd of onlookers couldn't help but whisper again. Although Wakanda is a small country, its wealth should not be underestimated. I heard that their royal family is also in business, and their diamond business is resounding all over the world. Could it be that Yuri wants to give a diamond to the White Knight as a thank you gift? Diamonds are definitely not, diamonds represent love, and other princesses are not looking for horses. I think the biggest possibility is to send souvenirs. Haha, Maybe it's a kiss, I'm really envious. Actually, the princess can thank her in person, which is already very face-saving. After all, the god of the White Knight has no subjective willingness to help, everything is crooked. Baya was also stunned when he heard that Sully was going to give a thank you gift. He can't afford it. But on second thought, it would be even worse if you refused. A commoner who refuses the kindness of a princess of a country will cause other chain reactions. He nodded. Suri smiled at this and looked at Hans on the side. Hans understood, and immediately took out a document and a beautiful little box. In order to thank Dr. Bai, Princess Suri specially gave away a villa worth 20 million in the magic capital, as well as 2 global limited Rolls-Royce. Here are the relevant agreement documents and keys, which are recognized by the Wakanda royal family, and the agreement is in effect forever. As soon as this remark came out, the scene suddenly fried. Damn. What does the god of wealth have to do with the White Knight? Damn. I'm so envious that the plasma wall is separated. 20 million villas and limited edition sports cars? I heard you right. Big brother, the amount of information in this sentence is placed on campus, it will really explode. Help. My heart can't stand it. Mayor Wang Jun and his son Wang Feng were also stunned. The school leaders had already stared. They were really curious about what the hell White Knight had done. Can be treated like this. Even if material abundance is excluded, the sincerity of the princess alone is something they can't find. Wang Feng's eyes were even more scarlet at the moment. He had watched Bai Ye's live broadcast room, and he knew the whole story. He thought that Bai Ye was not worthy of such a favor as Princess Wakanda. Click. Click. More and more people have recorded this scene. No doubt. It won't take long for this to make headlines. Seeing this, Bai Ye was both excited and confused. This pouring wealth is like a hot potato in front of everyone's eyes. Of course he liked it, but this princess can send it, why can't she send it secretly? Alas. This is embarrassing. Dr. Bai, I hope you don't refuse, Hans said earnestly again when he saw Bai Ye's hesitation. He, of course I won't refuse. Li Jiajia helped Bai Ye take it over and said with a smile. I'm Dr. Bai's assistant, and I took it for Dr. Bai. As he spoke, he gave Bai Ye a look. White Knight's heart understands. When Hans heard this, he nodded, feeling that something was strange. But Suri was delighted. Looked at the White Knight expectantly. Dr. Bai, can you help me take my pulse? I have also learned about Chinese medicine recently, and I feel that Chinese medicine is broad and profound, which is very suitable for health preservation. I would like to hear what health advice Dr. Bai has for my body. The voice fell. Bai Ye is definitely not easy to refuse, that person is short-handed, even if life is noisy now, it is inconvenient to take the pulse. But the princess of the family spoke, so let's meet the requirements of the people. Princess, there are many people now, and it may disturb Dr. Bai's diagnosis. Hans reminded in a whisper. Oh, I'm sorry. When Suri heard this, he looked apologetic. It's me who owes it to me. It's embarrassing for Dr. Bai. Hear this. Li Jiajia smiled with an eyebrow. Don't be embarrassed, don't be embarrassed. Dr. Bai's medical skills are superb, and one person can handle both pulse diagnosis, which is not enough to worry about this small interference. In addition, Chinese medicine is not just for health preservation. It can also cure the sick, the present, and the unsick. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. If the princess doesn't mind, Dr. Bai might as well take the pulse of the scene. What do you think? Hearing this, Sully smiled and said. I don't mind. And I don't want you to treat me like a princess. I'm just an exchange student now. Said. Suri looked at Bai Ye and smiled. As a member of the royal family, I am very healthy. But I like the wellness culture of TCM. In the words of the Dragon Kingdom, it is to follow the customs of the locals. So I wanted Dr. to give me some health advice. Like what to eat and drink. Hear this. The crowd around them became noisy again. Oh no. I feel like Suli is in love with the great god of the White Knight. Haha, there's no need to find the White Knight god for this kind of trivial problem. And don't you think the princess is too bold? Haha, that's the god of the White Knight, who specializes in killing patients. If it's a princess, it shouldn't be. People have higher level physical examinations, and dietitians design 3 meals a day. Don't believe it, the White Knight god is very mysterious, and he can find a lot of details, and the White Knight god's main focus is Genji. Haha, yes, the magic of Chinese medicine is the system theory, which can infer many dangerous diseases. After the White Knight heard Suri's words, a little crying and laughing, it can be seen that Suri is indeed very healthy, and she can consult a dietitian for this little problem. The race of the dragon country and Africa is different, and the physique will be very different. She really didn't have to look for herself. However, since you have received a valuable thank you gift from others, let's meet their small requirements. So he nodded. Reach out. Dr. Bai, don't you need a pulse table? Suli couldn't help but wonder. No, you don't. Bai smiled. At this time, Zhong Xiaoi and some medical students were about to leave, but they also came over curiously. Traditional Chinese medicine doctors generally treat Chinese people, and there are very few people who take the pulse of foreigners. After all, the clinical feedback will be different depending on the physique. In order to be accurate dialectic, a lot of experience is needed. Moreover, taking the pulse in traditional Chinese medicine is a very serious matter, and there are certain requirements for the environment and position. And standing like this in the White Knight, and in a noisy environment, it can be said that the test is very great. Other than that, they could see that Suli was very good looking, very healthy, and knew that she was a princess with a special nutritionist to design the staple food. In this way, the 3 stacks of buffs are stacked. They don't think they have the confidence to give Suli TCM advice, let alone talk about any advice. But I don't know what the White Knight can see. Bai took a look at the pulse and immediately knew the situation of Suri. In a sub-healthy social environment per capita, Suri is really very healthy. If you have a slight blemish, you will be constipated. Of course, this constipation is mostly a small spleen and stomach problem caused by emotions, and it has little to do with the fire. However, in order to get a quick defecation, Suri actually used Casilo. This is not necessary because long-term use can produce dependence and side effects. Bai also saw through the assistance of the system that Princess Yuri may have been used to using Kaizaru and gradually had pleasure. So I developed a bad habit, that is, I often stuff small steel balls into the chrysanthemum. Alas! This is also necessary to be reminded. It's not a problem of chrysanthemum's hygiene, it's a problem of hurting kidney qi. Health is to nourish the kidneys, and now this princess is very healthy and nutritionally balanced under the conditioning of a nutritionist. But that's just the benefit of youth, if this bad habit is not restrained. That's the same nature as a man's catheter. Of course. In nature, it is better to play chrysanthemum than to walk the boulevard and make small beans. After all, less dopamine secretion is less harmful to the nervous system. Come to think of it, this Princess Yuri also knows that girls' hands are not addicted, but she thinks that as long as she doesn't get the above 2, it won't count. But I don't know that making chrysanthemums is also counted. After all, in the concept of traditional Chinese medicine, intentional sexual immorality has already begun to hurt the kidneys. At this time, Suli quietly admired the beauty of the prosperous world in the White Knight, and said with a fan-like face, "How's it going, Dr. Bai? I know I'm healthy, but who wouldn't want better? I'm learning the way of the Dragon Kingdom, but I'm looking forward to your advice. Hearing this, Baya nodded, and considered his tone. Princess Yuri, I already understand your situation, do I need to tell the truth? As soon as this remark came out, everyone couldn't help but breathe. Here it comes. That feeling came. It even felt like a time bomb was about to explode. It's coming, can't you escape the law of social death? Haha, no, Suri is the princess of Wakanda, is the character of the god of the White Knight still so strong? Emma, Princess Yuri, run, the great god of the White Knight is about to make a killing move. That's the smell. This is the signal that the great night god is going to drop the atomic bomb. No, I think Princess Yuri is very healthy, could there be any quirks? The god of the White Knight can have a snack, whether you should say it or not, you have to take care of it, you are a princess. When Li Jiajia heard Baya say this, she couldn't help but chuckle in her heart. She knows that Baya is upright, but some private things are really not good to say in the public. People are princesses, not mayors, princesses have no face, and the emperor ministers of other people's countries will not give up. But who knows? Of course it's telling the truth, said Suli with great certainty after hearing Baya's words. Wait. Li Jiajia hurriedly interjected, and then looked at Suli with a serious face. Princess Yuri, I think that seeing a doctor is a very personal matter, and the illness is even more private. Why don't we move, Nyozhao, steps together, let Dr. go with you to other private spaces, and then talk to you in detail. As soon as these words came out, the school leaders who watched the excitement from the sidelines were also very recognized. Speaking of which, these school leaders actually don't want to get together, but Mayor Wang Jun is curious about Baya and wants to see more, so he has to follow. They already know Baya's uprightness, and they are really worried that he will be open-mouthed. When Suli heard Li Jiajia say this, he smiled lightly and spoke. But I'm not sick now. And I'm talking to Dr. about health regimens. In fact, in our country, even in Europe, people are very open. If you've ever been to Spain, a lot of adults defecate outside, because those countries don't have public restrooms like Dragonland. As soon as these words came out, Li Jiajia was speechless for a moment. Naturally, she didn't want to disobey Suli's intentions, so she looked at Baya and signaled with her eyes at the same time. Baya nodded and glanced at the mayor and the others next to him. Princess Yuri, why don't we listen to Jiajia? Too many people around you are really good for you, and not good for everyone. When Suli heard this, he wanted to agree. But suddenly it didn't feel right. Frowned. Dr. Bai, you say that, do I really have a serious physical problem? No, no, no. Hearing Suli's question, Baya immediately denied it. Then why do you need to hide it, said Suri. This, Baya paused, and began to hesitate. That's when it happened. Dr. Bai, you'd better open Chrysostom as soon as possible. Zhongzhao I felt that what Suli said made sense, so he urged. Fudan University is a double first-class comprehensive research university, and everyone gathers here to discuss academics. The so-called Qingyun gathers, Junji, and sings Qingyun in harmony. The emperor advocated and said, the clouds are rotten, and the clouds are many. The sun and the moon are shining, and the sun and the moon are shining. The origin of the name of the compound egg also points to this, and the school leaders and the mayor will not blame you. Hear this. Baya breathed a sigh of relief, and then twisted it to make it seem that he was wrong. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 75. At this time, several European and American students at Fudan University saw a crowd gathering in front of them. I also saw the figure of Princess Yuri. I also curiously squeezed in to see the excitement. These European and American students are all high-achieving students, and they have good results in their respective fields. When they learned what had happened, they looked at the young and handsome Baya and couldn't help but whisper. "It's so interesting, I like the Chinese medicine culture of Longguo, let's take a look." That young Dragon Nation person, just through the pulse of the ancient doctor, can he fully understand Princess Yuri's health? I heard that Chinese medicine originated from the Book of Changes, born out of the yin and yang culture, and in ancient times, it was also called witchcraft, which is a very mysterious medical skill, and you have to rely on understanding to learn Chinese medicine. This Dr. Bai is so young, he should know a little bit about the skin. It's true that there are acupuncture halls in our country, which is really magical, but I have never been able to understand the meridian theory, and it can't be quantified like Western medicine. So it's hard to believe that he can analyze the details of Princess Yuri's body just by taking the pulse. Yes, the most sophisticated instruments can't accurately scan the human body's information, but I guess this Dr. Bai said that he can read the appearance, and it is easier to see than Chinese medicine. I heard that physiognomy is also very metaphysical. Could they be a show? I have never seen such a young Chinese medicine practitioner. Due to the celebrity effect of Suri, more and more foreign students are coming here. When they learned that Baya was going to give Princess Yuri pulse as a health advice, they were all surprised. After all, Princess Yuri is taken care of by a nutritionist all year round, and she is also keen on physical exercise, not to mention that there is no need to maintain health at all, and she feels that just taking the pulse is not enough to fully control a person's health. At this time, Li Jiajia was also very worried. She took the gift from someone else for Baya, so she naturally had to think about it. It's not that he doubts Baya's medical skills, but he is worried that Baya is too straightforward. However, at the moment, the princesses have no opinion, but there is nothing to say. This way. Dr. Bai, let's talk quickly, the beautiful Suli couldn't help but urge, I'm listening. Hear this. Baya considered his tone, glanced at the crowd around him, looked at Suli, and asked. Princess Yuri, after you slowly get used to the diet of the Dragon Kingdom, have you noticed that the fox odor under your armpits has become lighter? And there's a lot less body odor on your body. Yes, Suri nodded. How do you know? It's very simple. Hearing Suli's question, Baya smiled faintly. I can see that your diet has changed, and you are more suitable for the millet white noodles of the Dragon Kingdom. Before in your country, excessive intake of meat and high-calorie foods. It can be said that fox odor and vigorous body hair and outstanding body odor are a protective mechanism of the body in the concept of traditional Chinese medicine. To put it bluntly, this is your surprise with our 813 physique. And this surprise factor mainly comes from diet, which can be guessed without taking the pulse. However, traditional Chinese medicine is very particular about dietary intake, and there is food therapy in health preservation. So, you can keep your current diet. Hear this. Suri's eyes lit up. I see, Dr. Bai's words made me suddenly realize. At this time, those foreign students couldn't help but be stunned when they heard Bai's explanation. Their fox odor is obvious, and their body hair is vigorous, but they have also found that after arriving in the Dragon Kingdom, those signs have changed. They knew that it was the relationship between diet, but they didn't expect that in Dragon Kingdom Chinese medicine, it was still the body's protective mechanism. It's really learned. It seems that this young man is quite a bit of a two-hearted man, and he knows a lot about the physiological characteristics of different races. Li Jiajia breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the boss still knows how to speak. However, what she didn't expect was Bai's next abrupt sentence directly made the audience stunned. Princess Yuri, the change in diet structure will also cause constipation due to excessive emotions. Actually, that's normal, but don't rely on Caesar. Habitually using several tubes of corkscrew every day will form dependence, and too much stimulation is not good for mucosal tissue. The voice fell. There was silence. You can almost hear a pin drop. After a few seconds, everyone looked at Baya a little blankly, and they couldn't understand it in their hearts. It is understandable that constipation can be seen by this pulse. After all, factors such as imbalance of internal organs and fire can cause constipation. But how can you see the use of castle after constipation? Do you know that other princesses use a lot of money in a day? This kind of thing is not installed in people's bathrooms, and it is really not something that anyone can say. However, although everyone was very confused and incredulous, there were still voices questioning. Because the same outrageous behavior of the mayor taking contraceptive pills just now was discovered by Baya, even if Suli's side is outrageous, it is still authoritative when this word comes out of Baya's mouth. As for whether this is the case or not, it is also very simple. Just listen to the reply of Princess Yuri herself. At this time, the international students couldn't help but laugh. It's outrageous. Yes, even if I don't understand Chinese medicine, I know that taking the pulse can only see the problems of qi, blood, and viscera. If it is said that the pulse can be seen using Kaiser Lu, it is equivalent to saying that this ancient technology can also see the congenital malformations of some viscera, which is outrageous. Wait, is it possible to rule it out? Constipation is confirmed, but there are no symptoms caused by constipation, so he speculated that he used Kaiser Lu. Well, there is a little bit of truth, but there are many objective factors. Don't guess, just look at what Princess Yuri says. I feel that this Dr. Bai has some ability. These international students can be said to have voiced everyone's doubts. They couldn't help but look at Yuri. At this time, when Suli heard Bai's words, he instantly blushed. She does have constipation, and she does form a habit. As soon as the stomach is a little swollen, I will squeeze it with the cork to cool it. At first, it was just a way to cleanse the intestines, but then somehow I fell in love with the weird feeling. Thought it was just her own little secret, but she didn't expect Baya to be able to see through it at a glance. Really, what a miracle, doctor. This is all seen by Dr. Bai. I'll pay attention to it later, I won't save any more trouble. It's a big deal to squat for a long time, but I'm really not used to squatting in rows. As soon as this remark came out, everyone's eyes widened. Those international students were even more breathless. Princess Yuri's words are very simple, that is, Bai's analysis and judgment are completely correct. Oh, my God. Miracle doctor. How can this be judged? Zhong Xiaoi was also stunned on the spot. She has a strategy in both Chinese and Western medicine, and she is also confident in her ability to see, hear, and diagnose. I have even seen many old Chinese medicine doctors give face-to-face consultations to others. But there really isn't anyone who can defy the sky like Bai yet. It feels like a body scanner. Of course. She knew that Bai could make such an accurate judgment, and it must be a combination of multiple information to make a judgment. Chinese medicine is like this, standing outside the door and spying on the information inside the house. This is not a test of imagination, but it must be justified. At this time, she didn't know how Hakia analyzed it, but it didn't matter. The important thing is that the White Knight's analysis is correct. Just like looking at Mayor Wang at first glance, you can conclude that Mayor Wang has taken too many contraceptive pills. It's right to take Hakia's words as a law. Therefore, now she is more looking forward to what health advice White Knight will give to Princess Yuri. Maybe you can benefit from it too. This will, the psychology of the onlookers is similar to Zhong Xiaoi. No one meant to snicker at Princess Yuri. After all, it was normal to use Kasilu, and they had also been in contact with it. However, what I didn't expect was, Bai's next sentence made everyone stunned. Princess Yuri, in addition to this habit, there is another habit that must be restrained. Then don't go to Kikub Sage's strange beads. Compared to the damage to the mucosa of the chrysanthemum, this habit is not good for the kidneys. Because sexual immorality will lead to rapid consumption of kidney qi. In fact, when it comes to health preservation, it is to nourish the kidneys, whether it is Chinese or Western. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. Don't think that you are too indulgent when you are young, there is an upper limit to the stock of innate kidney qi. Acquired maintenance can only delay the rate of attrition, so indulgence is very undesirable. Hereby yes words. Suri's eyes widened for a moment, and then his face flushed. I didn't expect that this kind of private matter couldn't escape Dr. Bai's eyes. I just get fun. I didn't understand it very well, but I remembered it first. But after saying that, she felt ashamed. Pleasing yourself, no matter what part it is, makes people feel very obscene. It's just that she is still a princess of a country. If other royal families and foreign guests know about it, it would be really embarrassing. And as her words fell, the crowd, Daf J, froze again. Obviously, everyone understood what White Knight meant. That means that Princess Suri is a chrysanthemum artist. He also asks Suri to pay attention to nourishing the kidneys. Isn't this the same as persuading people to do less catheters? But the princess of a country can have this kind of quirk. It's unbelievable, but Princess Suri herself generously admitted it. What a surprise. Poof. I don't know who chuckled. Then more and more pops burst out laughing. Poof ha, the great god of the White Knight is too upright, just say that it would be good to let people raise their kidneys, why bother pointing out the details? Poof ha, don't I have a face-saving princess? What's wrong with normal hand addiction? It's just a different way than everyone else. I'll go. I just know that girls will buy things that will vibrate. I don't know that there is also Jushuang, and if you pay attention to the White Knight god, you will learn a lot of strange knowledge. Ha ha ha, can it be understood that this is a fetish? Damn. Can you imagine that the princess will watch the little brother smear the chrysanthemum by herself when she is alone? Feeling the strange gazes of the students around her, Princess Suri was even more ashamed. Although she felt that she was not wrong, she felt that what Baye said made sense. Because it takes a lot of time to make chrysanthemums every time, and the behavior is very similar to Ziwei. And the White Knight only made her restrained. Come to think of this. Suli blushed and quickly changed the subject. Dr. Bai, the concept of kidney in Western medicine is different from the concept of kidney in Chinese medicine, right? Yes. Bai nodded and explained. In Western medicine, the kidney is just an organ, but in Chinese medicine, it is a system. This system cannot be found to have a correspondence in the anatomy of Western medicine. For example, there is no correspondence in the three focal points of traditional Chinese medicine. Well, I kind of get it. Hearing this, Suri nodded. Thank you, Dr. Bai. You're welcome. Bai smiled and said in a serious manner. In general, Princess Suri is in good health, due to the surprise difference in human constitution. My advice is just a reference. For example, Ju Wei, if the lust is already burning and forcibly suppressed, it will not be good, and it will produce sexual repression. At this time, I encourage Princess Suri to string beads in the chrysanthemum. And compared to teasing the boulevard, chrysanthemum has fewer nerve endings, less stimulation, and is less prone to excessive dopamine secretion leading to addiction. Therefore, everything is viewed dialectically, and Princess Suri can pay more attention to hygiene. Looking at Bai's serious appearance, the onlookers suddenly laughed and leaned back. How can a girl's privacy be said in such unpretentious words in public? It's so irrefutable. Think about how many people blush when they take physiology class. What's more, it's still so explicit now. Suli also broke the defense, blushing into a small apple, and really wanted to find a hole in the ground to get into. I know. Please, Dr. Bai, don't say it, okay? Hear this. Bai smiled faintly, the doctor is benevolent. He glanced faintly at the crowd around him, and his gaze was like an X from a body scanner's. The students who were watching hurriedly avoided Bai's gaze. Just kidding, they are very thin-skinned, but they don't have the bearing of Princess Yuri. However, when they thought of Princess Yuri's words just now, everyone couldn't help but want to laugh. At this time, those foreign students looked directly at Bai, and they also gave a thumbs up in their hearts. Dragon Kingdom Chinese medicine is awesome. Li Jiajia suddenly couldn't cry or laugh. Sure enough, the person who is looking for the boss to see a doctor, regardless of whether the status is noble or not, it is difficult to escape the law of social death. Zhong Xiaoi couldn't help laughing, but when she thought about it, she also admired Bai. It was such a pure heart that she could learn Chinese medicine well. The crowd around them whispered, all of them emotional. Mayor Wang on the side cast a grateful look at Bai, and it was Bai who shifted the attention of this wave of people to Princess Yuri. Haha, sure enough, most of human happiness is based on the pain of others. Mayor Wang realized it. Let's go, let's stop a few old guys. Good, good. The school leaders hurriedly agreed. Dad, I still suggest you go to the hospital for a checkup. At this time, Wang Feng spoke. Hearing this, Mayor Wang thought of Bai's words and hesitated. He was now convinced of Bai's medical skills. It stands to reason that you should listen to Bai's words. However, it was also curious, he was not weak enough to go to the hospital to take blood and take a film before he fainted. Mayor, you have a physical examination once every 6 months, and you haven't had a physical examination in this half a year, so it's okay to have a physical examination in advance. At this time, the subordinate directly under the city proposed, as before, it is not disobedient to Dr. Bai. Yes. Mayor Wang nodded, help me make an appointment with a tertiary hospital. Not much. Mayor Wang Jun conducted a comprehensive Western medical examination. It can be regarded as throwing the words of the White Knight out of the clouds. Soon, the results of the examination are out. Oncologist Lu Kai looked at Mayor Wang and said very seriously. Mayor Wang, I suggest an in-depth examination, there is a high probability of liver cancer. I will arrange for you to do a livergram and puncture so that it can be detected and treated early. Hear this. Mayor Wang felt that everyone was about to fall. Liver cancer. How is this possible? I've always been healthy. You can't make a mistake, can you? Lu Kai, an oncologist, heard this and said seriously. I can't say for sure when I watch the film, but 9 times out of 10. So do a further check. Wang Feng, who was accompanying him on the side, was also stunned when he learned of this. Then his face was full of anger. Clench your fists. Abominable white knights. My father may have liver cancer, and he told him not to go for a checkup. Early detection of liver cancer can be cured. If you listen to your dog and miss the best treatment, it's over. White Knight, you are really a quack. I will go to the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall to report you. I'm going to ruin you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 76. Mayor Wang coughed dryly, and when he heard Dr. Lu Kai's words, he felt very stunned. But Dr. Lu, I have always been healthy. Could it be that you have misjudged? Lu Kai shook his head. Mayor Wang, let me tell you clearly, I have received more than 10,000 pathologies, I have been on the operating table 200 times, and I know very well the symptoms of early liver cancer. Of course, the severity is still necessary to do an in-depth examination. Hear this. Mayor Wang's head was buzzing, his whole body was shaking, and he muttered in his mouth. How so, how so? I'm so young. My career is just on the rise. I haven't seen my son start a family yet. Fearful emotions crept in, and these emotions further harmed his internal organs. Many people go to the hospital to get seriously ill, and if they don't restrain their emotions, it can easily aggravate their condition. The lack of understanding of medicine and illness among the general public makes it difficult to restrain some panic. At the same time, as a doctor, it is also my duty to tell patients the truth about their condition, not to mention that it may not be serious. And so, inevitably, Mayor Wang's health deteriorated a little before he underwent an in-depth examination. If he could maintain an optimistic state of mind, Yang energy would grow, but unfortunately he chose to be pessimistic. Because it's too weak at this time. Mayor Wang doesn't have to worry too much. Liver cancer is a high probability, you can know it by looking at the blood calcium content, but... As he spoke, Lu Kai paused and encouraged. Even liver cancer is early-stage liver cancer, and it can be easily cured through surgical intervention. Hearing this, Mayor Wang took a deep breath and nodded. Dr. Lu Kai is right, this is a blessing in misfortune. Although hospitalization for surgery will delay work, there is no way to do it. When encountering such force majeure factors, it is necessary to detect and treat them early. Then without further ado, let's arrange an in-depth examination right away. Lu Kai said. Color ultrasound, MRI, biopsy, imaging, we will arrange it immediately. You have a special status and can get results on the same day. Mayor Wang adjusted his mentality and had to be a little patient for a while. I see. Hearing this, Wang Jun's chest rose and fell and patted his blocked chest. Then, Wang Feng gritted his teeth and said, Dad, fortunately, I came over in time to check. If I listened to the White Knight and missed the inspection, the consequences would be unimaginable. Mayor Wang raised his pale face, his brain was dizzy, and he reacted when he heard his son's words. By the way, Dr. Bai told me not to check. He muttered twice and looked at Dr. Lu Kai again. Dr. Lu, before I came, a TCM doctor named Bai told me not to do a checkup. Ahem, he meant that those tests would take a toll on my body. He also asked me to wait for the medicinal materials to arrive at his side, and prescribe medicine for me to eat. What do you think? What do I think? Lu Kai heard this, his tone became serious, and he subconsciously regarded it as a Jianghu Langshong's words. The examination of Western medicine will cause a small amount of harm to the body, but this is the same as eating and drinking. But is it because of this little damage, Mayor Wang won't check it? There are many details of diseases that can only be detected by precision instruments in Western medicine. What can Chinese medicine see? Can blood routine see it? Can congenital malformations be seen? Mayor Wang, you can't listen to the words of traditional Chinese medicine, your body is your own. Like liver cancer, early detection and early treatment, the effect of surgical intervention is immediate. Do you expect to drink a little Chinese medicine to recuperate, and then you will be the one who suffers? Besides, if you listen to traditional Chinese medicine, it will not be effective for a long time, and the disease will progress, which may lead to various irreversible complications. Did he think about it? It's cancer. Hearing Dr. Lu Kai say this, Mayor Wang swallowed his saliva, and then nodded. I have to say, what Dr. Lu said makes sense, then let's do a checkup. Next. Everything is carried out according to the inspection process. Of course, Wang Feng accompanied the whole process, and also made relevant video edits. These are all pieces of evidence that he uses to discredit White Knight. In his opinion, Bai is misleading his father, which is simply hateful. If it drags on, the early stage of liver cancer becomes the middle stage, and the game is over. Therefore, he will definitely not let go of the White Knight. However, what Wang Feng didn't know was, in fact, Bai Ye had already seen that Mayor Wang had a high probability of early liver cancer, and at this time, he was also confident that he could be well conditioned by traditional Chinese medicine. On the contrary, after going to Western medicine for examination, panic and the impact of various cold instruments on the body will deepen the damage to the liver. At the same time, there are symptoms of syncope and yin, and if there is a slight disturbance, it may also die of yang. It was precisely because of this level of foresight that Hakia warned him not to go for inspection. At this time, the other side. Although Bai Ye is not a student of Fudan University, he has become a celebrity of Fudan University. Li Jiajia originally planned to take Bai Ye to the cafeteria for dinner, but she didn't expect a bunch of Bai Ye's fans to come over to watch. In the end, it was agreed that it would be better to go outside. Li Jiajia is very happy that her goal has been achieved. I also saw the generosity of Princess Wakanda. Let's go, boss, let's take a look at our villa and sports car. Li Jiajia shook Bai Ye's hand excitedly. Just go, why keep shaking me? Bai Ye smiled, there is also Princess Ming Suri gave it to me, why are you embarrassed to add us? Humph, if I hadn't been cheeky enough to help you next, wouldn't the boss be embarrassed to take it in front of everyone? Li Jiajia snorted. Hearing this, Bai Ye nodded. That's right, I didn't expect Princess Yuri to give such a valuable gift, it's really an eye-opener. Yes, this earth-shattering wealth. Li Jiajia sighed twice, so, I also have my credit for this, isn't it? I also want to live together. You live with me? Bai Ye was surprised when he heard this. What? Li Jiajia scratched under Bai Ye's armpit and blinked her eyes. I just said that I was going to be my boyfriend, so I'm going to push people out. This, hearing Li Jiajia say this, Bai Ye suddenly cried and laughed. Jiajia, in fact, we have only known each other for a short time. Okay, grinding, it's a big deal, I'll give you the first time. Li Jiajia saw that Bai Ye was still hesitant and pretended to be angry. Jiajia, you. Bai Ye was stunned, looking at Li Jiajia like this, no matter how dull he was, he should understand the meaning of other people's school flowers. Jiajia, you don't have any bones left that are easy to gnaw on. The first time people say it's a kiss, you still want to inject someone's buttocks, you're so bad, Li Jiajia said with a smile. The two talked and laughed, and soon came to the villa community written on the Han's agreement. With a property manager to lead the way, Bai Ye quickly saw his mansion. This villa worth 20 million is grand and luxurious, with a swimming pool, garage and golf course. The pool can also be set to a constant temperature. At present, his financial strength cannot afford to consume. There are 2 luxury cars in the garage, and the smooth lines interpret luxury and nobility. It's a pity that he hasn't gotten his driver's license yet, so he can only touch it at the moment. Still, I'm happy. This is the joy of pie in the sky. The champion of the line program headquarters. The production director and the chief director looked at the backstage data and discussed something in the conference room. In the 2 days since the show was launched, the popularity of this White Knight is far ahead. Yes, you don't even need to set up a control group, he attracts fans more than all the streamers. Having said that, it was still too capricious, and the live broadcast was turned off in the afternoon, but I didn't know that the traffic on the night was the most ferocious. Indeed, it's too capricious, he's so easy to be overtaken, and even lose fans. This White Knight still lacks a sense of competition, the reward of 10 soft sister coins, is he confident, or lacks awareness of his popularity? That's when it happened. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. The staff member said suddenly. According to the report, the number of followers in the White Knight live room is increasing rapidly, 2.45 million, 2.78 million, 3.42 million. The voice fell. How is that possible? The production director put one hand to his chin. Even if it's cheating, the data can't go up so fast. It's really funny. In fact, we can find cheating in the background, but obviously, these followers are normal users. The director of the program was also puzzled. The production director and the program director looked at each other. But soon, they knew why. Unexpectedly, after Baye closed the live broadcast, it didn't take long for him to detonate his attention at Fudan University, and he also appeared on the hot search. The hot search related words are also very magical. The mayor takes birth control pills and is associated with the White Knight, and the Princess of Wakanda gives the villa a sports car. Fortunately, some netizens have already made relevant short videos. After everyone clicked in, they immediately understood the general situation of the matter. Everyone is also crying and laughing. This White Knight is also poisonous, and the mayor of the Demon City is also killed. Yes, this is the benevolence of the healer, and the Princess of Wakanda will not let go. It's really intriguing, and now there are stalks on the internet, saying that watching Chinese medicine is equivalent to social death. I said how the kid turned off the live broadcast. It turned out that the daughter of the secretary of the Imperial Capital Party Committee was soaked. After Jiang Meng took a shower, he habitually put on a mask and sat cross-legged on the sofa. I'll go to the Bai Chinese Medicine Museum tomorrow, but I'm still a little apprehensive. Let's take a look at Dr. Bai's live broadcast room first, and see his style of treating others, so I'll prepare in advance. Closed the stream. It's only less than 8 o'clock in the evening. Jiang Meng was stunned, and clicked on the other anchors in the show. It's too capricious, other anchors are broadcasting, and this Dr. Bai took the initiative to give up the peak traffic period at night. Too young to understand the value of traffic. It just so happens that the number of fans I have is worse than his, and if I go to the live broadcast in the evening, I may be able to catch up with him. When Jiang Meng was about to swipe down the hot search to find live broadcast materials, he suddenly saw the news of Baye and was dumbfounded. 0 for flowers 0. I'll go. What a walking traffic package. Meanwhile, the other side. Magic City Grade 3 Hospital. After Mayor Wang finished the inspection, he was already sweating profusely and angry. Everyone didn't expect a full-body checkup, as if they would take half a life. It also caused complications, a bulging and painful abdomen, and swelling of the lower limbs. I can only blame Mayor Wang for not resting well recently. It's too empty. So at the suggestion of Dr. Lukai, I went through the hospitalization procedures. Of course, it would have taken 3 or 5 days to get the results, but because Comrade Mayor was a special case, the results came out on the same night. Diagnosed with early-stage liver cancer. During this period, Wang Feng was recorded throughout the whole process. When he got the confirmed result, he started to take revenge on Baye. He first edited Baye's remarks with a video of his father's doctor's examination. At the same time, Dr. Lukai's sonorous and powerful arguments were brought out, accusing Baye of those remarks that misled people's children. Then, Wang Feng used the old routine to gather a large number of water armies to build momentum. The purpose was to focus the contradiction between traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine on Baye to detonate. No matter how awesome your TCM theory is this time, the masses will only believe the facts. The masses are irrational. As long as you stir up your emotions, I see how you can gain a foothold in the industry. Not much. Under the operation of Wang Feng, a large number of videos about Baye being a quack doctor, misdiagnosis of the pulse, Baye's murder for money, and Baye's contempt for Western medical examinations began to spread on the internet. Those trolls scolded Baye's virtues on major platforms. Let more and more netizens pay attention to this matter. And expressed his own opinions, but driven by the water army, all the remarks began to be unfavorable to the White Knight. Even many netizens directly regarded Baya as a charlatan and a quack doctor without knowing Baya. The current quacks are very hateful, they don't even have an accurate pulse posture, in fact, they don't have a test sheet and will just copy and talk nonsense. This is also called traditional Chinese medicine. I don't participate in the 4 diagnoses, I don't argue with the 12 outlines, and I'm still so young, a proper liar. Isn't this the White Knight of the Champion? He's been very popular recently, but I watched his live broadcast, and there are all kinds of strange things in it. I laughed, there must be a script. Look at this is Chinese medicine that is a teacher, and I am speechless in the face of iron-like facts. Liver cancer is to be detected and treated early, some cancers are really not suitable for taking traditional Chinese medicine, this young man is really misleading. My uncle used to believe in traditional Chinese medicine, and he was also cancer, which could have been cured by a minor surgery in the early days, but he hung up after drinking Chinese medicine for less than half a year. My sister's child has a congenital heart malformation, which could have been cured by minor surgery, but I believed that Chinese medicine said that it could be cured, and the child died. Alas, Chinese medicine is very good, especially in terms of health preservation, but to deal with major diseases, you Chinese medicine doctors should not boast about Haikao, it is really misleading people's children. What's going on with this program group? Is there an expert review? How can such a young Chinese medicine practitioner pass the review? He has no ability at all, and he promotes superstition, right? Soon. Fans who pay attention to White Knight have also seen these remarks that discredit White Knight. Many of them are still students at Fudan University, and they are also very stunned. This is obviously taken out of context. There is no cancer in the concept of traditional Chinese medicine, and the great god of the White Knight is only against Mayor Wang's examination. Yes, the rumor mongers have taken advantage of the contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine, and they are trying to harm Dr. We are studying medicine, and we pay attention to the White Knight god throughout the whole process. Will we not know the Chinese medicine literacy of the White Knight god? This is maliciously smeared by someone with a heart. But there is one thing to say, Baya is too crazy. At present, the treatment plan for early liver cancer is still good in Western medicine, and the effect of traditional Chinese medicine is too slow. After all, Mayor Wang is a busy man. But didn't you find out, the video on the internet just confirmed the remarks of the great god of the White Knight. Mayor Wang went for an examination, and the symptoms became more serious, his stomach was bulging and his lower limbs were swollen, and he was hospitalized. But netizens will say that if you don't check it in time, it may be more serious. There is a lot of discussion on the internet about White Knight's remarks. But obviously, some people have already lost their fans. At the same time, the discussion about the symptomatic treatment of cancer by traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine also became hot. Imperial capital. In the courtyard of Li Dakang, secretary of the Municipal Party Committee. Qi Xia, as an old Chinese medicine doctor of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, was ready to leave after giving Li Dakang physiotherapy. Just at this time, a mobile phone hotspot message was pushed to him. He didn't want to pay attention. However, there were the names of Baya and Wang Jun, the mayor of the demon capital, on it, so he clicked incuriously and took a look. After all, he knows Baya, and he also knows Mayor Wang, and this Mayor Wang and Li Dakang are old classmates. Half a year ago, Mayor Wang came to Li Dakang as a guest. Qi Xia was also there at that time, and he also saw that Wang Jun had a liver problem, but he didn't say it explicitly. Now seeing the news that these two people are linked together, it surprised him. Click on it to take a look, and suddenly it is clear. 3. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 77. Qi Xia, as the patriarch of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, glanced at the news of Baya and Mayor Wang, and immediately knew what was going on. Then he couldn't help frowning and muttered to himself. White Knight, this little guy is very clear. At that time, the old man also saw that Mayor Wang's illness was in the liver area, and if it was not treated, it would be better. Thinking about it, this little guy in Bai had already discovered that Mayor Wang had early liver cancer, so he asked Mayor Wang not to check it. After all, liver cancer at this stage can indeed be cured with traditional Chinese medicine. It's a pity, I'm afraid that someone with a heart has caught the handle. The contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine has been raised. Qi Xia touched his white beard, and suddenly an idea came to his mind. Now I have flipped through the hot videos of the White Knight. Then I couldn't help but have a bright eye. So it seems that this little guy in the White Knight still knows how to take prescriptions. Not bad, not bad. Liang Yukai didn't see the wrong person. It seems that Mayor Wang's case can be used as an assessment for Bai to join the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. The last assessment didn't count, but it just so happened that I knew Wang Jun again. That could be decided. Qi Xia is an old Chinese medicine practitioner of the Venhan School of Science and Medicine, and he is also a master of prescriptions. As one of the elders of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, he still has a certain appeal in the group. Tell me about it in the group. It didn't take long for a response. Huangzai, why, no, Bai, do you still know the prescription? Sun Dadao of the typhoid school, Bai, you are in big trouble, public opinion is not good for you, you have to take this assessment seriously. Zhu Yuanyu of the Xian school, old Qi, will this be too embarrassing? Bai, I have also seen the news. Then Wang Jun seems to have missed the best time for Chinese medicine treatment. Jin Yuangzi of the Huatong school, Lao Zhu, you can't say that. Traditional Chinese medicine is effective in any period of liver cancer, but whether it can be restored as before depends on the patient's state. Dr. Xue of the Wen 357 Supplementary School, Elder Qi, Bai's identity is very sensitive now. If the people know that Bai is still a member of our Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, maybe the spearhead of public opinion will point at us. Huangzai, why, Dr. Xue of the Wen Supplement School, what are you afraid of? This matter, Bai is not wrong. In a small courtyard in the imperial capital, Huangzai typed quickly on her mobile phone. Seeing that Grandpa Huang Yaoshi was processing medicinal herbs, he couldn't help but ask. Grandpa, if it is early liver cancer, are you sure that it can be cured by traditional Chinese medicine? Huang Yaoshi was humming about the community, and suddenly heard his granddaughter's question, turned around, thought about it, and blurted out. Early liver cancer, that's also a scorer. It is recommended to focus on surgical treatment to better prevent recurrence and metastasis. In the case of traditional Chinese medicine, it still depends on different people, and it is still okay to highlight the conditioning effect. Hear Grandpa's words. Huangzai took a breath, nodded, and sighed. I think so too. It seems that that kid in the White Knight can't pass the assessment. Bai's assessment, Huang Yaoshi paused when he heard this. Isn't his assessment invalid? Why is the assessment set again? Yes, old man Qi Xia said it. Huangzai explained. Old man Qi Xia just happened to know Mayor Wang, and Mayor Wang of this magic capital just happened to receive Bai's pulse diagnosis. It is estimated that Bai saw that Mayor Wang had early liver cancer, but recommended traditional Chinese medicine. Unexpectedly, this is because of this stabbing Luzi. What's going on? Hearing his granddaughter say this, Huang Yaoshi, who was very concerned about the White Knight, put down the medicinal herbs and walked over. What did this little guy stab in the White Knight? Grandpa, you can see it yourself, it's all on the hot search, and you say that Bai is a quack. Huangzai mentioned what happened to Bai, and he was inexplicably angry. Hearing this, Huang Yaoshi was slightly stunned, and his face was also full of anger. The successor he fancied was absolutely impeccable in appearance, how could he be a quack? It's definitely maliciously smeared. Don't worry, Grandpa, come and see. Humph, who is the person who rushed to smear the Chinese medicine doctor in the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, said Huang Yaoshi, opening his phone to check. After a while, he sighed. It's really outrageous, just such a trivial matter, and the whole city knows about it. This is obviously being rhythmic. Huang Xiaowai nodded and spoke. Yes, malicious incitement exaggerates the natural contradictions between Chinese and Western medicine. The public's perception of Chinese medicine is inherently incomplete and biased. Grandpa, if you think about it again, just now you think that it is better to have surgery for liver cancer in the early stage. And the perpetrator took the White Knight to persuade him not to check the matter, which is really easy to set off the public's anti-TCM sentiment. The voice fell. Huang Yaoshi frowned and paced back and forth. This matter of this kid in the White Knight is no longer just his personal business. It has provoked the public's prejudice against Chinese medicine. And to eliminate this prejudice, then only Baiye can cure Mayor Wang in the way of traditional Chinese medicine. Said. Huang Yaoshi suddenly thought of something, looked at his granddaughter and asked. Xiaowai, when did this public opinion come out? Do you know who the initiator is? When Huang Xiaowai heard this, his eyes were cold, and he said very firmly. The initiator is Mayor Wang's son, Wang Feng. He himself participated in the program Seeing Champion, which was a live broadcast of a Western medicine andrology doctor, and I dare not agree with the live broadcast content. He happened to record the whole process of the White Knight pulse diagnosis of his father, until his father was diagnosed with liver cancer in the hospital. The mayor's son, hearing such news, Huang Yaoshi was a little incredulous. I'm really afraid that the world will not be chaotic. Grandpa also wants to say that he is looking for public opinion under the control of the relevant network supervision department, which seems to be quite hanging. Yes. Huang Xiaowai also sighed helplessly. It's all up to Baiye. I hope he has the ability to turn the tide. This guy hasn't bubbled in the group yet, and he doesn't know what plane he's doing. Late at night. In a high-end villa in the magic capital. Baiye is exchanging with Li Jiajia about the grand question of how life is born. Naturally, I don't have time to pay attention to the information in the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. They do it at sunset, and they rest at sunrise. Before you know it, it's dawn. White Knight looks out the window. Yes, Li Jiajia got out of the quilt and looked at the handsome White Knight. Baiye looked back at Li Jiajia's clear eyes, touched her forehead, and said gently. It's time to rest, Jiajia. Li Jiajia lay in Baiye's arms and said softly. I know, but I want you to help me heal. What disease? Baiye was stunned. After I came into contact with you, I had a sensitization reaction. As soon as you left I had a desensitization reaction. As soon as you left, I had a withdrawal reaction. Li Jiajia pursed her lips and smiled. What do you say? About 3 hours later. The White Knight greets the morning light, and makes 8 pieces of brocade. Breathe, breathe, guide, and let the meridians relax. It's strange that I don't feel a little tired. It seems that after the crossing, the physique has also been enhanced. It feels good. Glancing at Li Jiajia, who was asleep on the bed, Baiye began to cook breakfast. Good thing to stock up on some food in the fridge in the villa. After a simple and nutritious breakfast, Baiye remembered that he participated in the program Seeing Champion, which should be broadcast live. It's a pity that he is not in the Chinese medicine hall now, and it is not convenient to broadcast his daily life live. I didn't open the live stream. Instead, the ghost sent a god to see the information of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. Then he raised his eyebrows. This comrade mayor really doesn't listen to persuasion. And now it's biting me back. The assessment has been changed to the mayor of the demon city who treats the mayor of the city with traditional Chinese medicine. Interesting, Everyone has gone to the hospital for surgery, how can I treat it? Read violent novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Baye smiled faintly, in the group, 8 Kixia. Elder Chi, this assessment is meaningless at all. What's more, Mayor Wang has already arranged for hospitalization, and I can't help it. After the message of the White Knight was sent. When Chi Xia saw it, he immediately replied. Serious face, Baye, you have to take this assessment. Now that public opinion has risen because of you, the contradiction between Chinese and Western medicine has been ignited. Since you promised to open Chinese medicine to regulate well, don't break your promise. As for Mayor Wang's side, I will personally find him and ask him to go to your Chinese medicine hall. It's always okay, right? Seeing this news, Baye was slightly stunned. Since it comes to this, it is not easy for him to refuse. He replied. Yes, if Mayor Wang can come to my Chinese medicine hall, I will admit this assessment. After all, if you can let the mayor of the demon capital come to him again, you can already prove your strength, which is equivalent to those negative online public opinion being self-defeating. Seeing that Baye was finally bubbling in the group, Huang Xiaowai thought about it and sent a message. Baye, this assessment is not very fair to you, you can squeak if you need help. Sun Dadao of the typhoid school, Xiaowai, it's not unfair, it's no wonder that Baye is too high profile and was caught by someone with pigtails. Zhu Yuanyu of the Xian school, Baye, now public opinion is very unfavorable to you, we can speak for you on the internet. Dr. Xue of the Wenbu school, yes, now some brainless sunspots don't even know the Chinese medicine system, so they spray Chinese medicine, and even our Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall is sprayed. Jin Yuangzi of the Huatong school, the culprit is the mayor's son Wang Feng, this kid is a mad dog, teaching children catheters in the live broadcast room, and losing his conscience. Liang Yukai was still investigating the case of falsifying medicinal materials, and after understanding the situation, he also sweated for Baye. He knows a lot about liver cancer, and he immediately went to 8 Xia in the group. Old man, since the assessment has been set, let's immediately notify the mayor of the demon capital. If liver cancer is not delayed, if it metastasizes and leads to various complications, then any Chinese medicine is overstretched. When everyone in the group saw Liang Yukai's information, they also thought of this. Now everyone is unclear about Wang Jun's condition, but they also know that liver cancer is not a small problem. What's more, before the examination, it was established that Wang Jun's body was showing the symptoms of syncope and yin, which was a manifestation of a very weak qi. To put it more seriously, every moment of delay will make the condition more complicated. 0. Of course, Qi Xia knew about it. Don't worry, I'll take care of this. I just learned that the attending doctor who treated Wang Jun is called Lu Kai, and his chief doctor is called Luo Fei. Luo Fei's mentor is Ni Guanghai, and it just so happens that I still have some friendship with Ni Guanghai. In addition, I am also an old acquaintance with this Wang Jun because of the relationship with the secretary of the Imperial Capital Municipal Party Committee. Under the persuasion of the two parties, they only need to let Baye wait for Mayor Wang to come to the door. Seeing this news, Liang Yukai's eyes lit up, but he still sent a message worriedly. There is Lao Qi who is old, and he has to arrange everything before Mayor Wang arranges the operation. Qi Xia, you don't need to be in a hurry, even if you want to arrange surgery, you have to wait until 2 days after fasting, which means I have at least 1 day to deal with it. Then he went down the night again. Baye, if the old man can't let Mayor Wang come to your Chinese medicine hall for treatment, this assessment will be invalid. You're always comfortable, aren't you? When Baye saw this news, he couldn't help but feel a little moved. Qi Lao's words are self-evident, indicating that he also recognizes Baye's judgment in his mind. Not only did he think that Mayor Wang had no need for surgery, but it was best to leave the hospital immediately. Because the various re-examinations in the hospital are very unfriendly to patients with syncope and yin. There are many examples of this in life. Some people were fine, but when they went for an examination, they found out that it was cancer, and then their health deteriorated. The examination of Western medicine is basically a traumatic examination, which is still secondary, and the most important thing is that the examination results affect people's emotions. Western medicine focuses on quantifying everything, while Chinese medicine looks at the whole thing. Western medicine compares human beings to living beings composed of biological parts, while Chinese medicine treats human beings as small energy systems in the natural system of heaven and earth. Each has its own advantages and disadvantages. And on the issue of Wang Jun, in the current complex and negative public opinion, Qi Xia's judgment is the same as Bai Ye's, and the best solution is to use traditional Chinese medicine. This really made Bai Ye sigh. Thank you for your trust, I will listen to your arrangement. Li Jiajia was so excited that she didn't sleep for half an hour before getting up. Then it was natural to swipe my phone and know that Bai Ye was in the storm of public opinion. And she immediately discovered the clue, and her cheeks bulged out in anger. That bastard Wang Feng. Unkindness and injustice, repay virtue with resentment. It's really a despicable villain, who has mudded the contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine, and has taken you as a target. Bai Ye shrugged his shoulders and told Li Jiajia about the arrangements of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group. Li Jiajia was even more angry when she learned about the arrangement. Clench two small pink fists. Damn dead. Obviously, we are kind and persuasive, but we have to be splashed with dirty water, and in the end, we have to help them wipe their butts. If I were to say, let them fend for themselves. Anyway, if you believe in Western medicine so much, let them have surgery. In his Laozi situation, the sequelae are enough for him Laozi to eat a pot. Seeing Li Jiajia's embarrassed appearance, Bai Ye patted her shoulder, and her eyes became sharp. Speaking of which, that Wang Feng is really a smiling tiger. After seeing you with me, he will borrow the public's prejudice against Chinese medicine and then incite public opinion to attack me. 0.5 lines. The conduct of such a dark-hearted man is very different from that of his father. Hear this. Li Jiajia was suddenly a little ashamed, lowered her head and blushed, and muttered. Are you blaming me? Hearing this, Bai Ye touched her hair and smiled faintly. So what, I was pretending to be your boyfriend, but now the raw rice is cooked. It's a big deal to deduct your salary. Okay, Li Jiajia smiled, I don't want the salary, I want you. Ahem. Bai Ye reminded, when I'm working, especially during the live broadcast, I still have to call my boss. Imperial Capital Medical University. Ni Guanghai came to the office early. He's having a great time today, it's the weekend soon. He had already made a plan to visit the magic capital on the weekend. The thought of this made him even happier. Brewed a cup of healthy ginger tea. Took a sip. Habitually turn on the computer, ready to pay attention to the real-time medical dynamics. Both Chinese and Western medicine are concerned. Since he was rejected by the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, he began to make up for his knowledge of Western medicine. Until now, it can be regarded as a fusion of China and the West. Therefore, the hot spots of Western medicine are also often concerned. Then, naturally, I saw the news of the White Knight, and then, poof. Ni Guanghai couldn't help but squirt out a sip of ginger tea after watching Bai Ye being rated as a quack doctor by the public in the news. What's the situation? How can Dr. Bai be a quack? Someone must have maliciously smeared it. I'd like to see what's going on. Huh, Mayor Wang, hepatocarcinoma, Lukai, isn't this Lukai Luophase attending doctor? Good guy, my students' subordinates are so prejudiced against Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 78. Ni Guanghai watched the news and watched all the hot videos of the White Knight. The more I watched, the more angry I became. It's clearly out of the beat. This is obviously an online water army maliciously smearing. Judging from the chronological order, the last hotspot is Dr. by saving Mayor Wang and Dr. by killing Princess Wakanda. These two hotspots are a testament to Dr. Bai's medical skills. How can the next hotspot be stepped on directly? There's got to be something wrong here. The more Ni Guanghai thought about it, the more wrong it became, and he hurriedly called his student Luo Fei, who said that the chief physician of the oncology department of the top 3 hospitals in Modu, that is, Lu Kai's boss. Luo Fei is a middle-aged man who is nearly 50 years old, a Chinese medicine practitioner who has inherited Ni Guanghai, and Western medicine has also studied in Ni Guanghai. The call was made quickly. Luo Fei, tell me, what is the current situation of that patient Wang Jun? Hello teacher, what? Luo Fei had just answered the phone, and after hearing Ni Guanghai's words, he was suddenly a little confused. What about you? What's the current situation with that Mayor Wang? Ni Guanghai said in a loud voice, already a little impatient. Teacher, I don't know what Mayor Wang is. Luo Fei was stunned. He had just come to work and was about to arrange work, but he was asked by his teacher, and he was really confused. It's Mayor Wang in the hot news now, don't you pay attention to the news? Xiao Luo, doesn't he take care of your oncology department and arrange hospitalization? Ni Guanghai asked. Hear this. Luo Fei tasted it, and then he couldn't laugh a little, and explained patiently. Teacher, I am now the chief doctor, and I am not in charge of specific patients. As long as there is a consultation with the attending doctor when he has a problem, I will pay attention to a patient. The Mayor Wang you are talking about should be the patient you just received, maybe the condition is very simple, and I don't know it yet. When it comes to paying attention to hotspots, teacher, I really don't have the leisure and time to pay attention to every hotspot. When Ni Guanghai heard the student say this, he also knew that he was excited, and said in a slow tone. Okay, since you didn't know before, now 30 knows. That Mayor Wang is at the person below you. I want to know about him. Can you help me check, what information has been entered into the system? Okay. When Luo Fei heard this, a trace of doubt flashed in his heart, but he quickly did so, inquired about it, and reported. Teacher, this Wang Jun came over for a checkup at 8 o'clock yesterday night, underwent a comprehensive physical examination, and also had a liver cancer screening, and was diagnosed with early liver cancer. In addition, after the examination, Wang Jun was very weak, so he immediately arranged to be hospitalized. The attending doctor on his side arranged for surgery to be performed 2 days later to prevent the cancer cells from metastasizing. It can be regarded as a simple operation, and Lu Kai is also an experienced doctor in surgery. Hear this. Ni Guanghai was keenly aware of an information point and immediately spoke. Wait, after the examination, the body is weak, what is the specific characterization? This is not written. The patient's physical condition may not be suitable for trauma examination at that time, or the instrument cannot detect it. Luo Fei explained. When Ni Guanghai heard this, he nodded slightly, which was in line with what Bai Ye said. However, he felt that before visiting White Knight, he felt that it was necessary to go and see it for himself. Come to think of this. He immediately spoke. Don't do the surgery so quickly just yet, wait for me to come and see. What does the teacher mean? Hearing what the teacher said, Luo Fei was stunned again. Well, maybe it could have been done without surgery at all. Ni Guanghai found that he couldn't explain clearly, so he put down the words. Anyway, I'll come over tomorrow and check it out for myself. If you have time, take care of this patient. After speaking, Ni Guanghai hung up the phone. Luo Fei was a little stunned, and he didn't know why his teacher paid so much attention to the mayor. However, he still briefly told Lu Kai the news. When Lu Kai learned about it, he was also surprised. "Director Luo, what do you mean by Master Ni? Do you want to arrange for Mayor Wang to be discharged from the hospital?" But Mayor Wang's current situation is very bad. In the words of traditional Chinese medicine, it is that there is no remedial deficiency. "I think it's better to go ahead with the original plan. After all, long pain is better than short pain." Luo Fei pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose, and the Mediterranean hairstyle made his brain glow with wisdom. After hearing Lu Kai's words, he said seriously, "I just learned about the hot news, and this Mayor Wang's physical condition may be a little special. Before the operation, I had to fix my fasting for 2 days, change it, delay it for 2 more days, and change it to a light fast. On the one hand, this will help the patient regulate his spleen and stomach, and on the other hand, he will wait for Master Ni to come over and check it again. Perhaps the combination of Chinese and Western medicine can reduce the pain of patients." The voice fell. Lu Kai frowned slightly. He had handled so many liver cancer surgeries. "I am very confident in my surgical skills, and I know that liver cancer is a cancer that cannot be delayed." If he wants to say that Chinese medicine regulates the body, he can understand and believe it, but Chinese medicine cures cancer. It's really embarrassing. I can't believe it. There are few successful cases. Seeing Lu Kai frowning, Luo Fei twitched the corners of his mouth, and his eyes became serious. "Dr. Lu, you are still young, and you have not yet known the breadth and profundity of Chinese medicine. For example, if Mayor Wang is weak after the inspection this time, you can't explain it." "Hear this?" Lu Kai paused, then nodded. "Director Luo, Chinese medicine is indeed my shortcoming, and I am still more confident in the energy of the disease and pathology. After all, doctors are responsible for their patients, and I can't fool them with the vague terminology of Chinese medicine. Of course, this is not to say that I don't trust TCM, but I say that I practice medicine according to my own experience." Luo Fei smiled faintly. "Okay, I'll notify you, get busy." At this time, the other side. Champions Program Group. The producer and director were stunned when they saw the news that Baiye was attacked early in the morning. "What's going on? The live broadcast room of the White Knight hasn't moved yet, isn't he going to open it? My God, now the internet is full of bad comments about White Knight. Yes, it's unfair to say anything, and to treat Baiye as a quack. It's obvious that I've been taken off the pace. Has there been a change in the attention of the White Knight live room now? Report, White Knight's fans have not dropped, but there are no new ones, and it seems that it still has a great impact on him. Indeed, it seems that he has been maliciously retaliated. Look, it is quite a coincidence, Wang Feng is also the anchor guest of our show, and the central figure of the incident is his father. What will be strange about this? We are definitely against vicious competition, but there is one thing to say, and Baiye's words are also a little crazy. Indeed, it is natural to go to the hospital for examination, and it is understandable that cancer delays the spread of cancer cells. It is understandable to be criticized, but this is obviously fanned by others, setting off a contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine in terms of the treatment of diseases. What are we going to do? Shouldn't this White Knight be because you know that there is pressure from public opinion, so you can't avoid the broadcast, right? It's going to be a disappointment for the fans. Under the arrangement of the staff, if the broadcast does not start at noon during the night, remind me that there will be a limited flow of punishment. Okay. At this time, the other side. Plastic surgery star Zhang Meng is preparing to leave for Bai's Chinese medicine hall. However, after she finished applying light makeup and brushing the news hotspots, she immediately hesitated again. Because she saw on the news that the White Knights Club people said were quacks. What's going on? It's only been one night, Why has the wind changed? No, this should be a malicious smear. I'm going to take a look at Baiye's live broadcast room to see how he responds. Zhang Meng, who is well versed in the routines of the entertainment industry, took a look at the news and found clues. However, as soon as she searched Baiye's live broadcast room, she found that Baiye had not broadcast live, and she chuckled in her heart. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. No, it won't. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's hard to stop broadcasting because of this matter. Then how can I find him to see Infertility? Come to think of this. Zhang Meng sat down. I was a little depressed and looked at my towering nose in the mirror. I finally found a Chinese medicine doctor who specializes in infertility. How can I do this? Forget it, just wait. Maybe when the hot news passes, the White Knight will be broadcast. At this time. The other side. North Africa. After collecting the herbs according to the prescription of the White Knight, Black Bethune began to refine it. It's a relatively long process. But he is no longer confused, and he is full of confidence. This faith was brought to him by the medicine of the White Knight. When he collects insect medicine, he always thinks of the White Knight, and every time he thinks of it, he always shows a face of admiration. I just want to go back to the Dragon Kingdom as soon as possible. This is the case in the world of Chinese medicine, where an apprentice can worship more than one master, and he knows this well. However, before visiting, you must first understand the preferences of others, and in the words of the Dragon Kingdom, you can't go empty-handed. So, it was natural for Black Bethune to search for White Knights on the internet in his spare time. According to his expectations, since Baiye is a member of the Huaxia Imperial Doctor Group, and can casually propose such a perfect insect formula, he must be a big celebrity. There must be a lot of information about him on the internet. However, after a one-pass search, to his surprise, Bethune discovered that there wasn't much information about White Knights on the internet. Some of them are just offensive remarks. With doubts, Han clicked on the current hot news in the Dragon Kingdom, and then his face was full of disbelief. This White Knight master is so young. The Chinese medicine hall that specializes in infertility is amazing. Wait. No, those trolls on the internet are maliciously smearing a master. There is a saying that there is no cancer in the concept of traditional Chinese medicine, and the video is taken out of context, and Master Baiye is not wrong. It must be easy for Master Baiye to come up with such a perfect insect prescription and prescribe a pair of traditional Chinese medicine for the treatment of early liver cancer. What's going on with these people on the internet? That's a master. The true law smells bad. The dragon country is difficult to live. There is only a dragon country in the world that has traditional Chinese medicine. These people don't cherish it, and they are actually smearing. It's incredible. Black Bethune shook his head and sighed as he looked at the hot spot. Do you want to discuss this matter with Ji Lao, and let Ji Lao and the members of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall stand up to support Master Baiye? After all, this contradiction has extended to the contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine in the treatment of diseases. Thinking of this, Heiwen planned to call Ji Lao. But as soon as I picked up my phone, I put it down again. Forget it, Ji Lao should have no intention of interfering in these disputes. The other members of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall should have seen this hotspot as well. But I'm not reconciled. Master White Knight, don't worry, I will definitely develop your insect recipe as soon as possible, so that everyone knows that your medical skills are transcendent. Black Bethune took a deep 650 breath. Did not continue to pay attention to the hot spots of the White Knight, but plunged into the work of refining medicine. At this time, the other side. Baiye and Li Jiajia finished breakfast, and it was already 10 o'clock. There is still a long way to go back to the Chinese medicine hall. If you walk, it will take up to an hour. Right now, it's just a car or a car. I don't have a driver's license, Can you drive? Baye glanced at the luxury car in the garage. Absolutely. Li Jiajia snorted and looked at the beautiful Rolls-Royce Phantom, with an excited look on her face. But people have never driven such a handsome car. I'm a little nervous. It's okay, once it's raw and twice cooked, as long as it doesn't hit people, it's fine. Baye smiled. As he spoke, he threw the car keys to Li Jiajia. You can drive it? Okay, Li Jiajia said with a smile as her eyes lit up. Look, if you hadn't come to Fudan University with me, you wouldn't have met Princess Yuri, and this wealth wouldn't have hit you on your head. How can you say that I am also your koi? You still want to deduct my salary, but you really have no conscience. Let's go, little koi. Baye sat in the car, his hands on the back of his head, and his face was comfortable. Howler, Li Jiajia fastened her seat belt and stepped on the accelerator. Buzz. The car roared twice and then drove forward. This car is so bombed. Li Jiajia's vanity was completely satisfied. Not for a while. They returned to the Bai Chinese Medicine Hall. The car was too big to enter the alley, so it had to be parked outside. When the two of them entered the Chinese Medicine Hall, they suddenly felt like they were separated from each other. Baye sat at the consultation desk and looked at Li Jiajia's expression, which was also a little abnormal. This newly arrived employee has now become his girlfriend. Maybe you can be a shopkeeper. Boss, aren't you going to broadcast live? Li Jiajia quickly entered the role. Oh, I almost forgot. Baye touched his nose and smiled awkwardly. Then I picked up my mobile phone and turned on the live broadcast, and at the same time, the pinhole live broadcast camera around me was also connected to the power supply. Not for a while. Baye reappeared in the live broadcast room. Boss, next time you go live, you can send a pre-broadcast time. Li Jiajia was a little apprehensive. In this way, fans can prepare in advance, and I don't know if there will be fans who will pay attention after the hot thing. Baye nodded. You really need to interact with fans more. Then. Baye suddenly thought of something and looked at Li Jiajia. Jiajia, help me register an email address. It is used to receive information and documents from netizens and fans. I can interact with netizens online. Good drop, Li Jiajia nodded. It should have been like this a long time ago. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 79. Chapter 79. Baye took care of some trivial matters in the medical hall and glanced at the live broadcast room. I found that the fan activity is as usual. It seems that the number of people has increased a lot compared to yesterday. Not only the remarks of netizens, but also the dialectic of Chinese and Western medicine, as well as the matter of Mayor Wang yesterday. The anchor can get into a big deal, and he was chased and beaten by Western doctors. Does the anchor have any strategy? Now that Mayor Wang has been sent to the third-class hospital in the magic capital to arrange surgery, the anchor is afraid that he will not be able to return to heaven if he wants to correct his name. That Wang Feng is really a despicable villain. His live broadcast room is all advocating and guiding children to scientific catheterization, and he has no common sense of Chinese medicine at all. Rest assured, we will always support you. We who study Chinese medicine know the benevolence of the anchor doctor. Add 1, however, I think it's better for the anchor to stand up and speak out, and when such a big thing happens, the anchor doesn't say a word. It's not easy for people to think that the anchor is at a loss. But what to say, what to say? Those who understand don't need to explain, and those who don't understand Chinese medicine can't understand how to explain, and the anchor can only be silent. Anchor, what are you going to do next? Looked at the concerned words of netizens. A warm current flowed through Baye's heart. Facing the live broadcast room, he spoke. Thank you all for your concern. This matter has little impact on me, and the one who suffers the most now should be Mayor Wang, and everyone should care more about him. In addition, I predict that Mayor Wang will come to my Chinese medicine hall to receive more efficient and simple Chinese medicine treatment. Let's wait and see. As soon as these words came out, netizens were stunned. Then there was a barrage. The anchor is domineering. The anchor is amazing. They all say that Chinese medicine will tell fortunes when they are powerful. Does the anchor see the disadvantages of Western medicine surgery? No, the situation is very passive to the anchor now. Mayor Wang has already arranged for hospitalization, and it is said that the operation will start in 2 days. Could it be that the anchor used some mysterious power to discharge Mayor Wang from the hospital? Wait, one thing to say, doesn't the anchor think that Western medicine surgery combined with Chinese medicine conditioning is a better solution? Yes, what do the anchors think about the symptoms of early liver cancer? The current public perception is that if there is no early surgical intervention, it is easy to metastasize and spread. Indeed, most of the current views on the treatment of cancer with traditional Chinese medicine are mainly based on conditioning, but we don't know that there are many traditional Chinese medicines that can inhibit cancer cells. However, Mayor Wang didn't listen to the anchor's persuasion, and had already done various injury examinations. I'm afraid it is not suitable for the conditioning of traditional Chinese medicine. Netizens expressed all kinds of doubts and worries. These are also what Li Jiajia cares about. Now that Baya has no advantage at all, his personal choice and handling will also affect the long-established contradiction between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. Come to think of this. Li Jiajia also looked at Baya with a worried face. Baya smiled faintly, looked at the live broadcast room and said to everyone, "If you want to know how I solve this tricky problem, then follow my live broadcast room and I will tell you the answer." The voice fell. There was a brief silence in the live broadcast room. Then it blew up. Damn. Haha. I like the confident look of the anchor. Good, good, good. Even if Tarzan is overpowered, I won't move. Is that so? Then I'll follow you, anchor. The anchor still explains, the outside world regards you as a model of quack medicine. Look at the barrage in the live broadcast room. Baya found that he was really not suitable for interacting with netizens, and he was still better at seeing patients in person. Li Jiajia rolled her eyes at Baya and couldn't help muttering. "Boss, you're too confident. Are you sure Mayor Wang will come?" "I'm sure he'll come." Baya nodded and spoke. "As long as he can see old man Qi before the operation." Hear this. Li Jiajia suddenly understood, then looked at the live broadcast room and said leisurely, "Everyone, if you don't believe the anchor's words, you can pay attention to Wang Feng's live broadcast room first." After paying attention to Wang Feng's live broadcast room, everyone can learn about Mayor Wang's latest situation. Said. Li Jiajia shrugged her shoulders and continued. "But you have to hold back and don't spray rice." Then Wang Feng is teaching children how to conduct pipes scientifically in the anchor room. The voice fell. Li Jiajia didn't look at the live broadcast room again, but looked out of the alley. Then 2 small pickup trucks drove up to the front of the store. "Mr. Bai, your logistics express has arrived." "Boss, your medicinal herbs have arrived." Seeing this, Li Jiajia's face fluttered. When Baya heard this, he put down the trivial matters at hand, and came over to sign and place the goods. Bringing the medicinal herbs into the medical hall, Baya carefully examined them. "I can't help but have a bright eye. Sure enough, it's a high-quality medicinal herb. There is no fake. 5 elements, 5 colors, 5 flavors, 5 seasons, cordyceps mine, all kinds are complete. How about it? There are all kinds of medicinal materials, and they are fully classified. Are you satisfied, Li Jiajia said with a smile. Satisfied, Bai Ye smelled the fragrance of medicine, like a drunken beauty in her arms. These herbs are as tempting to a master of medicine as Qin Shi Huang is when he sees the elixir of immortality. With these, White Knight is confident that most tumors and early-stage cancers can be treated. Many people have a misconception about Chinese medicine, thinking that the conditioning effect of Chinese medicine is very slow, but this is not the case. A prescription prescribed by a master of prescriptions, after the patient drinks it, the effect can be seen in 2 or 3 days. Of course, Chinese medicine is not a panacea. Dialectical treatment of symptoms. It has fewer side effects than Western medicine, and for some patients with non-malignant tumors, Chinese medicine must be the best solution. After the medicinal materials are sorted and placed. Unexpectedly, Huang Xiaowai made a voice call. Bai Ye, to make a long story short, this assessment is not very fair to you, I can help you. What do you mean? Hearing Huang Xiaowai's unprovoked words, Bai Ye couldn't help but be stunned. Liver cancer is not a small problem, and depending on the situation, the mayor's condition is already complicated. Huang Xiaowai said bluntly. As a family of imperial doctors, I have a mature prescription for the treatment of early-stage liver cancer. The 3 types of patients with liver cancer in the early stage of liver cancer, such as heat and poison type, Qi stagnation and blood stasis type, and Qi stagnation and stasis type, can be improved as long as they take my prescription. Of course, I can only help you with the first course of treatment, and then when Mayor Wang's yang energy recovers, it's up to you. The voice fell. Bai Ye suddenly couldn't cry or laugh. Isn't that the same as helping me cheat? Humph, I'll just say that, Huang Xiaowai snorted when he heard Bai Ye say this. After all, you are a member of our group, if Mayor Wang is brought to you, and you can't come up with a treatment plan in front of everyone, then the face of our Huaxia Imperial Medical Group will not be guaranteed, and when the time comes, the people will have deeper prejudices and misunderstandings about Chinese medicine. I can't bear it, so helping you means helping myself. As for the idea of cheating, in fact, the assessment is originally an open book exam, and I just lend a hand to you at the initial stage and make a choice for you. Otherwise, even in your little medical hall, you won't be able to get decent medicinal herbs. Besides, the patient's condition will change in real time, and it will definitely depend on you later. So, I don't think it's cheating. Hearing Huang Xiaowai's words, Bai Ye just smiled faintly and spoke. Thank you in advance for your kindness. Mayor Wang's little problem, I can still deal with it. I'm just worried that he's not coming. You. Huang Xiaowai had already said this, but he didn't expect Bai Ye to refuse, and he was immediately unhappy. Bai Ye, I'm kind enough to help you. Read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network. Don't underestimate liver cancer, the symptoms and complications are very complex. If you don't have a deep understanding of the drug, it is easy to drag the patient into the abyss. When the time comes, your quack hat will never be taken off again. Think about it, that's also a comrade mayor. Bai Ye heard Huang Xiaowai's concern for him, and his tone softened, but his face was full of confidence. Got it? I cherish my feathers, and I don't joke about it. If nothing else, I'll hang up first. Huang Xiaowai heard Bai Ye swear like this, and pursed her lips, looking unhappy. After hearing the blind sound coming from the other end, I was immediately angry. The stinky boy is really shameless. I didn't necessarily want to be helped, so I offered to help him, but I was refused. I'm so shitty that I'm mad. Huang Yaoshi looked at his granddaughter's anger, and after learning what happened, he touched his gray beard. Yo-Yo said. From this point of view, this kid Bai Ye is very confident in this medicine. Huang Xiaowai rolled his eyes, he is just overconfident, he really thinks that the prescription is to draw a scoop with a gourd. Of course not. Huang Yaoshi nodded. Traditional Chinese medicine is indeed useful in the treatment of early-stage liver cancer, but it also requires rich clinical experience. It is necessary to carry out dialectical treatment according to the patient's symptoms at different times. And our three basic prescriptions are not a cure, but the conditioning effect is excellent. Yet, this kid is not underestimating their prescriptions. You must know that many Chinese medicines on the market for the treatment of liver cancer are actually harmful to the liver. In addition, Mayor Wang's current situation is unknown, and the detoxification ability of liver cells has deteriorated a lot, so you really have to be very careful with your medication. Huang Xiaowai nodded and sighed slightly. Forget it, no matter what he is, it's a shame to be disgraced anyway. Grandpa, don't even think about taking him as an apprentice, he doesn't obey discipline. Hearing his granddaughter say this, Huang Yaoshi did not reply. He also hesitated to go to the magic capital to help this holy son of Chinese medicine that he rarely fancied. He couldn't bear to let such a Chinese medicine talent be bound by public opinion. Let's watch it again, pay attention to his live broadcast room first. After Baiye hung up the phone, he didn't expect Professor Liang to call. Professor Liang. Dr. Bai, I see that you have accepted the new assessment, and you plan to use traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture to treat liver cancer, Professor Liang asked with some concern on the other end of the phone. How sure are you? Hearing this, Baiye said solemnly. Professor Liang, let's put it this way, if I wasn't sure, I wouldn't take this assessment. Yes. Professor Liang smiled when he heard this. The version he knew was that Baiye was driven to the shelves, so he came to care, and when he heard Baiye say this, he couldn't help but remind. Dr. Bai, I still recommend that you focus on acupuncture and moxibustion. After all, the other party's liver damage is unknown. At this time, it is most important to avoid blindly taking tonic with traditional Chinese medicine. In case the other party's liver metabolism is too weak, it will become poison. Of course, the dose control of the drug properties can be predicted by measuring transaminases, but at that time it was already indicated that liver cells were damaged. Do you know what I mean? When the words fell, Baiye couldn't stop crying and laughing. Of course, he understood what Professor Liang meant. To put it simply, if a liver cancer patient takes the wrong Chinese medicine, it will lead to accelerated liver failure, which will aggravate the condition. If this had been placed 2 days ago, Baiye would definitely not have dared to prescribe medicine. But he's a master of medicine now. What Professor Liang feared, it was impossible for him to happen. Baiye is not easy to explain this. Can only be frankly said. Don't worry, Professor Liang, I'm measured. Well, it's good to be measured. Professor Liang heard this, feeling that Baiye was still being strong, and reassured. Don't pay too much attention to the negative public opinion on the internet, those who really understand Chinese medicine will be on your side. As he spoke, he continued to add. In addition, this assessment of you is based on Qi Lao as the chief judge. If he finds that you can't deal with Mayor Wang, he will intervene and sentence you out. This not only ensures the fairness of the assessment, but also ensures that Mayor Wang's illness is under control. Hearing this, Baiye was slightly stunned. In this way, Old Man Qi will also come over. Old Man Qi is one of the elders of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall, and his status in the group is comparable to that of Old Qin. White Knight also really wants to get in touch with it. I see, Professor Leung, thanks for the reminder. Well, okay, I wish you success. Professor Liang hung up. The other side. Ni Guanghai was worried about the affairs of Baiye, and he couldn't wait to ask for leave in the direction of the magic capital. The fastest ride by high-speed rail is also 4 hours. I looked at the time. There is still an hour to arrive in the magic capital. Ni Guanghai decided to help Baiye solve the problem of the direction of public opinion before visiting Baiye. With his fame in the field of traditional Chinese medicine, it is still possible to correct by yes name. Although it is an academic school, it is not comparable to the family of traditional Chinese medicine and the family of imperial doctors, but it is the most accepted representative of traditional Chinese medicine on the surface. In the hearts of the public, Ni Guanghai himself represents the Taishan Baidu of traditional Chinese medicine. So, he felt that he needed to personally give Mayor Wang another pulse diagnosis in order to understand Bai Ye's thoughts. In this way, it is good to justify the name of the White Knight. To this end, he has already made an appointment with the reporter in advance. At this time, Ni Guanghai didn't know that there was a big man in the field of traditional Chinese medicine who was on the same high-speed train as him. The destination is the same as his. The big man, nearly 90 years old, is still in good spirits. He has had many titles. Academician of the Longguo Academy of Engineering, member of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, Secretary of the Party Committee of the Imperial Capital Medical College, President of the Chinese Medical Association, and leader of the high-level expert group of the National Health Commission, etc. However, those were honors before he retired. Now his identity is a little simpler. A member of the Huaxia Imperial Medical Hall. This big man is Qi Xia. Although he is nearly 90 years old, he looks like a middle-aged man who is only 60. And he is confident that he will live another 30 years. The high-speed rail is like an arrow piercing the clouds, silently moving forward. Qi Xia closed his eyes and recuperated, like an old turtle, with his qi to control the form, and his fugue was too empty. His sitting posture is standard Taoist meditation. Looks like an out-of-this-world master. The outside world disturbs him, but it's just noise in the background. Traditional Chinese medicine, infertility, crazy social death patients. Author, Cold Shower in Winter. Chapter 80. Call. Qi Xia sank into the dantian and exhaled a long breath. When I opened my eyes again, my eyes were shining. Raised the corner of his eye and looked out the window of the high-speed rail. Looks like there is still half an hour to reach the magic capital. In fact, he went to the magic capital in person this time. In addition to invigilating the White Knight, there was another very important matter to deal with. Then give the White Knight a cover. Plainly. In case Bai Ye can't pass the assessment, and Mayor Wang's condition worsens. Then with him, he can still use the means of traditional Chinese medicine to save him. In this way, the public's unfavorable public opinion on Chinese medicine can be calmed. As a young Chinese medicine doctor, I don't know if that kid in the White Knight can withstand the pressure of public opinion. In addition to the imperial doctor family, the threshold of the Huaxia imperial doctor group is required by a certain age. If Bai Ye can withstand the pressure, he will pass the assessment. Then I will admit his strength. Hopefully, the unique qi channeling technique that I have mastered can also be passed on to him. It just so happens that he is still young, and he can be proficient in a decade or two. But if he can't pass the exam, then I'll start thinking about compiling a book for someone who is destined to do it. Qi Xia thought so in his heart, and closed his eyes slightly. Meanwhile, the other side. Magic City Grade 3 Hospital. A corridor that is not too crowded in the ward. A tall and handsome man is holding a mobile phone live broadcast pole and interacting with netizens in the live broadcast room. Family, if you really listen to rumors and quit ejaculation, then you are not only stupid, but also may cause harm to your body and mind. The three major harms of adults, please be vigilant. First of all, deliberately suppressing your desires will lead to psychological problems, and your physical instincts are opposed, and you have no chance of winning. At the end of the day, you will only struggle between vows and breaking vows, falling into the quagmire of suffering, and then completely denying yourself, which in turn may lead to anxiety and depression and other bad emotions. Attention, this is to quit ejaculation. Compare it with your Pua family. They asked you to quit sex. Does that teach you a systematic cognitive desire? Secondly, it can cause or aggravate prostatitis, and to ensure that it is not inflamed, it is necessary to ensure that the ducts are unobstructed. Finally, it may delay the diagnosis and treatment of the disease. The catheter has never been the cause of Yang Wei's early rest. If you think that quitting ejaculation can cure the disease, ignore the direct factors such as staying up late, smoking, obesity, etc. It will only delay the diagnosis and treatment of your disease. Therefore, as long as the regularity is moderate, there is no problem, and Mr. Wang will teach everyone how to scientifically catheterize. If you have any questions, you can ask them. This man is Wang Feng, the son of Mayor Wang Jun, and 977 is the loser who pursues Li Jiajia. The theme of the live broadcast he chose to participate in, the champion of the walk, was scientific catheters. It is precisely to borrow this theme that naturally attracts traffic to create traffic miracles. Unexpectedly, I was compared to the infertility of the Chinese medicine in the White Knight, and threw him away. For this reason, he secretly hated the White Knight. In addition, after learning that Li Jiajia was with Bai Ye, he was even more angry. Therefore, he did not hesitate to launch a water army and borrow the natural contradiction between Chinese and Western medicine to destroy the White Knight. And my father's illness happened to be an entry point. Wang Feng believes that it won't be long before that White Knight will become a clown in the champion. And so it is. Under his management, the traffic ranking of his live broadcast room has advanced several times to the homepage, while Bai Ye has fallen from first to second. This is a gratifying thing for him. It is even more necessary to work the live broadcast and catch up. Therefore, even if I come to visit my father in the housing department of the hospital, I have to find time to broadcast live. Hello, the wolf in the wind, this friend. You ask me which is more nutritious, tadpoles or a glass of milk. Of course, it is milk. Small tadpoles are only a few milliliters at a time, far from comparable. The tree is very windy, this friend. Do you ask if once a day is frequent? Let's put it this way, as long as your body can eat and you don't get tired, it's no problem. Sit on the ground and suck the soil. What should I do if the catheter is found by my mother? Haha, let your mother pay attention to my live broadcast room. I told her that there is no shame in this, and next time remember to ensure a private environment that is not disturbed. Okay, Mr. Wang is about to go to the inpatient department, and everyone must be concerned about my father. Speaking of this, I have to sigh with emotion. Fortunately, we didn't listen to the words of bad Chinese medicine, and early liver cancer was detected early. Otherwise the disease will be delayed, and the consequences will be unimaginable. Of course, Mr. Wang is not saying that Chinese medicine is bad, but that some Chinese medicine doctors are too young and like to read from the book. We just want to do physical examinations with a rigorous and scientific policy, but I didn't expect that the young Chinese medicine doctor was strongly opposed. Countless clinical data of Western medicine have long proved that early surgical intervention in liver cancer can have the best therapeutic effect, while impulsive use of traditional Chinese medicine is not only slow, but also may be damaged and aggravated because liver cells cannot metabolize traditional Chinese medicine. He may have forgotten that he is just a doctor who sees infertility in a small, daba, medical hall, and he thinks he is an internet celebrity and puts up a shelf, and admonishes a mayor comrade like this. His heart is damned. Wang Feng complained in the live broadcast room, and immediately got a response from a group of fans. That White Knight is indeed too young. I have long watched him unpleasant. I have watched his live broadcast. I will not interact with netizens at all, not to mention, the patients diagnosed and treated are more and more like a drag. I seriously doubt that there is a script. That White Knight is a little bit of ability and floated. In fact, the theory of Chinese medicine is so pointed, and Western medicine is standing on the shoulders of scientific giants. I dare to say that he knows nothing about liver cancer. Teacher Wang is right. My father was also liver cancer back then, and he was also looking for Chinese medicine to prescribe medicine, but the more he drank, the more serious it became, and finally he was cured by spending money on surgery, and the doctors said that if he continued to drink Chinese medicine, he might have liver cancer. Support teacher Wang, that Baiye is indeed young and frivolous, he can make suggestions, how can he oppose the inspection of public officials, he actually just wants to ask for credit. Did you find out, that White Knight may have known that he was at a loss, and he didn't dare to start broadcasting all morning? Yes, it is estimated that the fans who like White Knight are the stupid forks of the Quit Color Bar, who are brainless about Chinese medicine. Looking at the derogatory treatment of Baiye by netizens in the live broadcast room, Wang Feng's heart was very happy. Not much. So he went to his father's hospital room. The hospital has arranged for the mayor to have a separate high-level ward, which is fully furnished and has dedicated nursing staff. Everything looks brand new. But it is in stark contrast to the patients in the hospital bed. At this moment, Mayor Wang was moaning low on the hospital bed, his stomach bulging high, his mouth slightly open, and emitting bitter heat. The whole person looks like a yellowed calendar, as if it is about to pass by if you flip through it. "Dad, how are you?" Wang Feng saw that his father was even more haggard, and his heart was stunned, and his resentment towards Baiye increased by another point. Ahem, Mayor Wang saw his son coming, supported himself with difficulty, and coughed dryly. "Xiao Feng, Dad regrets it a little. I regret not listening to Dr. Bai's words. After going to the hospital for an examination, my body is even weaker. Now I'm hungry and thirsty and want to eat, and I'm being strictly controlled, and it's too sinful. Hear this." Wang Feng chuckled in his heart. He didn't expect the mayor's father, who had always been strong, to say these words. After all, in his impression, his father is always talking and laughing no matter what difficulties he faces, and his temperament in front of his family is always calm and sophisticated. Enough to be visible. Sickness is a detriment to people. Dad. Wang Feng took a deep breath. If you hold on, you'll be able to schedule surgery in 2 days. After the surgery, it's like a dream. Dad, you have to trust Dr. Liu's professionalism. He can quantify your condition, and that White Knight can only give you psychological comfort by taking a bite of yin and yang metaphysics. The voice fell. Mayor Wang's pupils shrank suddenly, and he was a little stunned for a while. There was a long pause. Only then did he grin and mutter. "Call Dr. Liu. Dad's chest is so stuffy, and his lower limbs are numb. It doesn't feel right." When Wang Feng heard this, he immediately notified the nurse, and the nurse understood, and immediately called the attending Dr. Lu Kai over. Lu Kai soon came to the ward and was a little surprised to see the weak Mayor Wang. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. "Well, how is Mayor Wang?" he asked, looking at the caregiver. "Mayor Wang has to refrain from eating and drinking because he needs surgery, probably because he is unwell," the caregiver explained. Lu Kai nodded slightly, and then took out a stethoscope and put it on Mayor Wang's chest. I looked at his tongue again. The face was pale. "How can jaundice occur? Mayor Wang, do you have a dull pain in your upper abdomen?" Hearing Dr. Liu's question, Mayor Wang said with a wry smile. "Dr. Liu, to be honest, I have been unwell all over my body since I had the checkup. My stomach is fine, but now my limbs are numb." Hear this. A trace of astonishment flashed on Lu Kai's face. In the early stage of liver cancer, there are generally no obvious symptoms. Looking at Mayor Wang's situation, there are other diseases, other more invisible diseases. Then, "Dr. Liu, does my dad have any other symptoms that haven't been checked out?" asked Wang Feng. "Possibly." Lu Kai glanced at Wang Feng and said slowly. "It stands to reason that it shouldn't be like this: numbness in the limbs, jaundice, stomach discomfort. At present, it is preliminarily judged that there is a possibility of metastasis of cancer cells, and the symptoms are related to acute pancreatic cancer. Of course, we have to do an in-depth examination to find out. Hear this. Mayor Wang almost turned his back on his breath. Pancreatic cancer is the king of cancers, and if you are not careful, you will die. Wang Feng's face was also very bad. His fists clenched slightly. Glancing at the live broadcast room. But he asked Dr. Lu Kai. Dr. Lu, if pancreatic cancer is not detected in time, what will be the consequences? Don't check it in time. Lu Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard Wang Feng ask, and his expression was cold. Pancreatic cancer is the king of cancers, and if it drags on until the late term, it will be difficult for the gods to save it. I see. Wang Feng nodded and looked at his father Wang Jun. Dad, long pain is better than short pain. How can you still think about the words of the White Knight at this time? He is not related to us, and he almost hurt you. As soon as this remark came out, Mayor Wang was speechless for a moment. The body is his own, and no one else can empathize. In his current situation, he couldn't tell which was right and which was wrong, and after sighing, he nodded heavily. Wang Feng saw his father nodding and turned his head to look at Dr. Lu Kai. Dr. Lu, since you have new symptoms, let's take the trouble to get checked in time. Hearing this, Lu Kai glanced at Wang Feng, a little hesitant. He had just communicated with Director Luo Fei. Director Luo Fei convinced him of the TCM plan. However, due to his sense of responsibility and years of clinical experience, Lu Kai still could not convince himself to believe in the unquantifiable diagnosis and treatment of TCM. Thereupon, he intends to ask Mayor Wang for his opinion again. If Mayor Wang thinks that it is good to continue the examination, then he will first follow the way of Western medicine for diagnosis and treatment. Come to think of this. Lu Kai looked at Wang Jun seriously again and spoke. Mayor Wang, your body has new symptoms. Just in case, the hospital is recommending an examination to rule out pancreatic cancer. You also know that pancreatic cancer is much more terrible than liver cancer, and it cannot be delayed. But at the same time, your body is relatively weak, and the organs of the pancreas are very small, and our examination methods will damage your body to some extent. Look, are you thinking about getting tested? After asking this, Wang Jun, who had always been calm and strong, was silent. His cloudy eyeballs were blurring. Yesterday, I was still able to talk and laugh, but I didn't expect that after the examination, my body deteriorated, and I was first diagnosed with liver cancer. Now it could also be pancreatic cancer. This is too cruel for a middle-aged man who is about to exercise his political ambitions. He also knows that illness cannot be indulged, and it may be worse if it drags on. But last night's words rang in his ears like Huang Zhongdalu, which really made him unable to make a decision. People have the characteristic of seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages. If you can treat it in a comfortable way, you will definitely not choose the way you are sinned. Dad, Wang Feng shouted and reminded. Illness can't be delayed. Wang Jun raised his head heavily when he heard his son's words, and his son's urging was inexplicably like the chirping of autumn cicadas, which seemed noisy. This is probably the opposite of the word. Wang Jun lamented, once a person is sick, he really can't help himself, then I'll listen to Xiao Feng. The voice fell. Wang Feng breathed a sigh of relief, and Dr. Lu Kai also nodded heavily, so everything came according to the process. That's when it happened. A sturdy figure suddenly walked in. Drink the road. Wait a minute. The sound was thick and powerful, sweeping through every corner of the ward like a hurricane. The people in the ward were stunned. This is a private ward for senior officials, and no one will disturb it under normal circumstances. The owner of the voice didn't sound like it was from this hospital, which made them a little stunned. I couldn't help but turn my head to look at the door. But I saw an old man striding in a tunic and striding in. This old man has a big backcomb, wears golden glasses, has a tall posture, and has a kind of general appearance between his gestures, which is daunting. It was Ni Guanghai. Ni Guanghai strode in, and then a white-clothed coat with a big belly also walked in. It was Luo Fei who followed Ni Guanghai in, that is, Lu Kai's chief physician. See this formation. Lu Kai was a little stunned, but quickly regained his composure and nodded to the two. Xiao Lu, you wait first, let Master Ni take a look first. Luo Fei said. Okay. Lu Kai nodded respectfully. Seeing this, a trace of surprise flashed on Wang Feng's face. Of course he knew about Mr. Ni Guanghai, but what surprised him was how Mr. Ni Guanghai from Imperial Capital Medical University could appear in his father's ward.